Hello, I'm Peachy.
Oh, this has gone a bit wild already. Hello, I'm Patrick.
I say, I'm Jeff.
You sounded remarkably less Liverpoolian then. That's great.
Ding dong.
Hello.
And I'm an absolute bounder.
What is a bounder?
Just like a cad.
Oh, right, yeah, a bit of a...
What's a cat?
Bit of a rake.
It's a bit of a ne'er-do-well, but a posh one.
Oh, okay, right.
A rum
okay.
use, a
A
bit
rapscallion.
rum.
A rapscallion. A posh
just go for all the old
rapscallion,
names.
but in tweed.
Yeah. Oh, okay, fantastic.
Rapscallion.
There we go. I never know how these things are going to start, and that, you know, I don't know why I'm surprised every time.
Yeah.
But that
just
was
derail immediately.
yeah. Fantastic. How are we doing, chaps? We're all right.
Good.
Yeah, not one of these in a while.
You know, well, I think we
The last time we had one with just the three of us, it immediately got derailed, and I started talking about skinning pits and
That's right. Yeah, that's
like
right.
the
There's
Nine
nothing wrong with
Lords.
that.
Yeah,
That was the Tactical Peg show.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
tactical
Such a-
peg.
It's on brand.
Yeah.
Talking
Yeah.
about skinning pits.
Yeah.
Skinning
Yeah.
pigs. You can do that too.
If you
I
want
guess.
to,
Yeah, skin a
Yeah.
pig. Why not? Have a hobby.
Yeah.
That's how you get bacon. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's how you get bacon.
Oh, I saw a great meme, and it was Grogu, and he was just like, "Oh, I've got an emotional support animal." No, he was like, "I've got an emotional support pig." Well, it's not all of the pig. Okay, it's bacon. Yeah, me and Keris giggle about it all the time.
I love, every now and again, like seeing Mrs. Peach chuckle at some memes and stuff like that. She's often sending me some Star Wars ones and some good ones. I can't remember off the top of my head because my recall's awful, but yeah, I like a good meme. And our Discord have some great memes as well.
Yeah,
They often we have a meme channel on the Discord, so that is highly entertaining. If you're having a bad day, just look at the meme channel.
It's a thing of wonder.
It's quality memeage.
Yes.
Quality
Yeah.
memeage.
Yeah.
So at the weekend we were at Warlords.
We
went
were.
to an open day at
Yeah.
Warlord, which was I'm looking at all sorts of cameras right now. I was mainly looking down at your crotch, Pat. I was just like there's some lights and stuff like that. He's got robo crotch.
It's
now.
various attachments.
It's like Darth Vader's panel, but like around his crotch area, not his
Like
chest.
it's slid.
When he got into the lava a bit too deep.
Yeah, I think I've talked about it before. This is what I edit with. Yeah,
I just see pretty colours
as
in
we're
them.
recording.
And I'm
So
like, ooh,
camera one,
pretty lights.
there you go. Camera two, Peach. Camera three, Jeff. And then camera four's me. There we go. And that you can buy one that has like 8.
Wow. Oh my giddy hands.
Which is like when people are like, oh, we really want more close-ups of stuff. That's like when I might buy the bigger one. And another camera.
As our viewers have requested a special camera just for when people come on the show with figures, we need to get more close-ups of that, which is, fair, having like a 360 of those
Absolutely,
stuff. But I do take photos and then I forget to pass them on to Pat, so that's my bad, really. It's just the way of the world.
Yeah. So yes, Wall of Games.
Open day was good. I've not been to the open day before. I didn't know what to expect, but we were invited down, weren't we? We got to smooze with some of the writers like Jervis and LSEO, Robin Dews, etc., etc.
Did you manage to talk with Jervis into coming on?
I did. He's passed me his email because he doesn't do social media. Also, Alessio Cavator as well. At the same time, I was like, can I come on? I was like, yes, you can. Because they both write for Draco. We recently did a video for Draco Studios, which was like
all
dinosaur.
the dragons and dinosaurs and
They're
stuff.
obviously dragons now, so shout out to Draco Studios. Haha. But yeah, so they're both writing for that, writing for Warlords, all over the place, got all the stuff. But I saw Jervis and having a good chat with him, bit of a catch up. He's enjoying retirement by writing more books.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
I thought, I'm no expert on how retirement works, but it doesn't sound like that's it.
But it was lovely because I know you were working, Jeff, but and I was supposed to be, but then wasn't. So I got to go down.
The wedding didn't happen, or just the wedding didn't need you?
I think it was the wedding didn't need me, which is better.
Love still played out in the end.
Yeah.
Good.
So love won.
Love won. Hat lost.
My love of miniatures.
your love of miniatures won too.
But the entire time I was there, so like they gave us a tour of like the whole place, and you get to see, like, you walk into like John Stallard's office, and he has swords hanging up on the wall, and you're like, cool. And then you go into the studio, so you see like their studio painters, their setup where they take all the pictures,
all their next releases for a whole year.
They were like, oh yeah, there's a cabinet of like unreleased stuff there, and it's like, should we not?
People were taking photos,
and I was,
this isn't Games Workshop.
So
well, I disagree. It used to be Games Workshop. That's what they used to do.
Yes,
because I remember when I first got into the hobby, all the staff members used to go up,
Yeah.
didn't they? And they'd have a brief and go, "Here's what's coming out this year, guys."
Yeah.
And then all that happened was they then came back and with allowed to going, "I seen a new Land Raider," and you wait till you see what they've done with
Yeah,
the spin.
yeah.
Excitement.
Yeah, and then and the thing is, there's no sneak peeks. It was just off what they told you and
Yeah.
what they'd seen, and they described it,
Yeah.
and it built the hype really nice. And now it's like, say nothing.
Yeah, because they used to
Yeah.
do two types. There was like when you did your squad leader course and you finished it, you went on a tour in the studios, and that's when I saw like the inner workings of the studio. I was like, I want to work here. This looks great. And then I remember going to, like, at the time it's open plan when I turned up, but they had like all these little cubicle offices. And there was one which was just the Perry's that was there, but they weren't in there at the time. I think they were either having lunch or something.
The Perry's office was the toilet, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, it could
They
have
were in
been
their other office.
honestly, like how different people operate on their desk is fascinating. I sound like fascinating,
Fascinating. Interesting.
because you'd have like Jez Goodwin, who's like super clean, neat, clinical.
Why I don't sound surprised by that at all.
But that's how he operates. Tidy mind, tidy desk, tidy mind kind of thing. And with the Perrys, he's just like mad. They literally have piles of greens. And sometimes you go up to them and go, "Oh, have you got any like the bits that you're working on for like the Cadian sprues and stuff like that?" And they were like, "Oh, hang on a minute," and they start like Lego boxes going through the greens, going, "Oh yeah, I think that's one of the heads," and they go through and like, "Oh, that's one of the heads," and obviously they had the historical stuff there. But yeah, we went in this room, and there was like a cabinet, and there was just loads of things. And at the time, I think Demon Hunters had been out for a little bit, so you had like the Death Court Assassins, sort of the different types of Inquisitors that were like metal. So there was like a female Inquisitor with like a Van Helsing hat and a crossbow.
Yeah, it's cool.
There was like
cool
different poses and different weapon options and different, like some with cloaks, some with like slightly different outfits. And I was like, "Are these coming out like?" "No, they're just ones we didn't want to produce in the end." I'm like,
Well, do you remember they did that
so
one?
much stuff.
They
Yeah.
did that one, didn't they? Where they did one of the Inquisitors tall hatted with like swords and a pistol, and then they did another version where he was like cowboy hat and it was two pistols,
Yeah,
and a lot
yeah.
more gunslingery, but
Yes.
it was essentially the same miniature.
same build, So there's
Yeah.
a lot like that where it was like the same dolly almost, just with like different bits. But that was just really interesting seeing that. And then they did the other type of tour, which was like if you had like your monthly managers meeting or your 6 monthly full-timers meeting. Sorry, full-timers, they didn't get to see cool stuff as often as managers apparently. But then there'll be like the boardroom above the reception, which have like everything for the next 6 to 9 months laid out. And then you have like Jervis talking through like this set. You'd have like Matt Ward talking through what's going on here, and it was like
Oh, right.
really open about it and stuff. But yeah, the tours through the studio was great. But
Yeah.
it was just weird seeing that same old style mindset. And Warlord is very much like Games Workshop of the 90s. That from an office environment point of view, as opposed to like sculpting and like, attitudes and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely it's nice seeing that again. It's really refreshing.
Yeah, because the whole time I was there, I was like, I can't believe we're getting to see this. This
Yeah.
is crazy. This is wild.
And it's an open day and everyone's getting to see it.
And everyone gets to see it, which is so if anybody, because I love behind the scenes stuff, how the sausage gets made. That's my jam.
Why did you have to say sausage?
Because
I want to know what sausage jam is. Now.
Sausage jam. we
jam,
don't want to
yeah.
know what sausage jam
yeah,
is.
you do. No, it's like seeing how the sausage gets made. That's like a phrase that people say, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, we go-
only
It was-
you though.
No, it was in. This is
Why
why
not Pizza Factory?
I back
Why-
myself up, and I'm like, well, no, it's a line in Hamilton, like the musical.
You're very more highbrow than me when it comes to that.
Yeah, I
kind of
know. I sound so pretentious when I say that.
stuff. I just watched Commando the musical, and that's
Yeah, I really need to see that. Does it actually exist?
It's like as if it's an intro to Commando the musical, or
right,
Conan,
okay.
Conan the musical and Predator the musical. I would say are top tier.
Yeah, yeah,
Brilliant.
I'm gonna, as soon as we finish, I'm gonna.
Yeah, we'll have to. Play
I'm gonna
it,
search
yeah,
them.
absolutely.
But yeah, like seeing the resin casting place was cool, and it's all like I don't know what I was expecting, but it's all like that and the spin casting where they do the metal figures. Like it's all quite, because it is like old technology.
yeah.
Like it is like, I was like surprised at how low tech it was in a way, but obviously like it's a very skilled art, and the way they cut into the molds and this, that, and the other, and how much they have to produce a day. Like the guy, I can't remember his name, the New Zealand chap who did the metal casting, said they produce 15,000 metal figures a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's they have all the molds that go in and pouring it in, and it's like, cool, there you go. Like Yeah, it's amazing.
It's interesting because it's like you say, it's a method that's been around for years, but if it ain't broke, why fix it? Right?
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
it works.
It's the Artis Opus thing, isn't it? We went
Yes.
there, you know,
Yeah.
low tech but reliable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant to drop Byron a message because when I was in Barla, there was an old-fashioned hardware store and had loads of old-fashioned tools.
Oh, wow.
But it wasn't, you couldn't tell what day it was open. In Bala, I should say Barla, I sound like so snobby. Barla.
Is this in Wales?
Wales is where I went on my
Yeah.
holiday. And it's really weird. All the shops, I think the Welsh in that village, there's a few shops that have like regular opening times, but some are just like, we open when we want. And then you walk past, it was like a pizzeria. The first year we went, it was never open. The second year, it was open one day. I was just like, I don't know how you do business, but you're still here. So
Yeah.
year on, you're still here.
Yeah.
I used to have a barbershop very much like that in Liverpool. You just used to have a sea of just a row of men just literally sitting on the pavement, leaning against the wall. And you come up and go, what time's you open? He goes, don't know. How long have you been here? An hour. Give it another 20.
Oh, wow.
Just-
The hair's just growing on the
yeah,
outside.
literally.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. But yeah, there was a hardware store that had loads of old-fashioned tools and stuff like that. And I was
Yeah.
like, when it's open, I'll drop Byron a message, take some photos of the outside window, see if there's anything he's after. But it just never opened.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just like, just show off. This is what you could have won.
Yeah. If I wanted your money, you could have had this.
Yeah.
Just behind a screen was actually quite a nice, very modern living room.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
someone's house.
But yeah, seeing the resin stuff as well, like how the resin's made, then the metals, but then there's the new style, like
Oh, the CO cast.
yes, which is like using like metal casting, but instead of like affording to do plastic casting, 'cause
Yeah.
you have to obviously get the whole like tool made, which is like hundreds of thousands of pounds, and you've got to recoup that money if it's
Yeah.
if it's a kit you know you're going to sell. Like John said, he invested when he left. It's John Stallard. He invested a lot of money in making a tool for Romans because
Yes.
plastic Romans weren't a thing at the time. People like Romans. Romans are quite popular if you're into like ancients and any kind of like miniature collecting. So he invested a lot of his retirement, redundancy money into getting the tool made.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the Perrys had done some stuff, and then they kind of like launched a bit before he did. So it was like,
Yes.
oh, that's good. I'm going to jump on the back of this now. So then we can,
Yeah.
uh,
I found that really, really interesting actually, because he said to us, like, he was like, oh, it got thousands and thousands of pounds like back then, and he was like, he said the Perrys released something just before we were going to, and I thought it was going to be like go down the line of, oh, those pesky buggers stealing our thunder, but he was nervous about it working.
Yeah.
And then the Perry stuff was really popular.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, thank God.
it was almost like it clearly works. I'm going to release mine because theirs was
Yeah.
the French and British Napoleonics. I think that was their first plastic sets.
Yeah.
The French came out first and the British came out a little bit after. And then Victrix started doing some stuff. So that's when the Warlord Romans came
Wasn't
out.
who Bob did stuff for? Didn't he do Victrix Romans?
I think
Bob?
so. Yeah, he's done a fair few Victrix
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah.
did some of the British as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Victrix are. If anyone listening to this, if you're after like a Dark Ages, Napoleonics, Ancients, they have a whole vast array of stuff. So like between Warlord, Perrys, and Victrix, you're sorted for like plastic Napoleonics and like.
And the nice thing is
Ancients.
they all generally do a very good job of matching each other
Yeah.
in scale, don't they? Because
cool.
Tim, my bestie Tim, he's a big Ancients and Napoleonics guy, and he'll go, "Oh, they're Perrys, they're such and such," and you go, and you think, God, you can't tell. You know?
Yeah.
You can weirdly like
Yeah.
certainly the early Victrix stuff isn't like it's a more characterful style, if you like.
Yeah.
But like their cuffs are quite chunky, and the lace on the cuffs are quite chunky.
Yeah.
And I guess it was like learning the tools and stuff as they developed and got
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
They're a lot more refined.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas the Perrys have had years of like tooling and like plastic sculpting up to that point, so
Yes.
they knew
Yeah.
roughly what to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
So, but the arms are 100% interchangeable. The backpacks are, the heads are. Because I've used the Perrys Austrians and the Victrix Austrians and just mixed and matched the heads and the arms and the weapons and stuff to make different conversions. Because I did some light infantry, and I was like, I'm going to do these. I was like, well, I like that body. Well, those arms, those arms fit on it. So
Yeah.
Good, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
it's very good. And then obviously Warlord do plastics for Napoleonics as well, so you get a good mix. So I went on a
Yeah.
sidetrack of like Napoleonic plastics, as
No,
we
it's
always
fine.
do.
It's fine. It's
Oh,
what we're here for.
hang on. Sharp. There we go.
There we go.
Tick. Sean Bean. Sharp. Sorted.
Got to be mentioned.
It's got to be mentioned.
Yeah, it has to be
Absolutely.
mentioned.
What was I talking about? Warlord about Sharp, because we got onto the subject of like talking about Sharp and like
Really?
yeah, surprise. And like the War Games Atlantic do like a set of riflemen, which I've got Dave passed them on to me, and you get like 8 sprues. But really, if you're doing like a unit of riflemen, you only need like 3 of the sprues to make 12 guys. After that, it gets quite repetitive. So
Yeah.
I've sent a couple out to people that have like, oh, I'm trying to get that sharp. Where'd you get it from? What's your address? There you go. You can have that.
Oh,
because
nice.
it's so light. You can put it into an envelope and just post it with
Yeah.
like a stamp, so it costs
Yeah,
like hardly any money via postage.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Because I don't need like another 15, 16 riflemen. I've got 25 already from my current army, and then these extra ones that I've done for chosen men. I knew we'd get out to shop somewhere.
It's inevitable, really. Isn't
It's
it?
inevitable. So we'll move away from shop now and carry on talking about Warlord.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good event. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, having the trip around, seeing the inner workings was so refreshing and just really insightful. And like what was the middle plastic start? Because it's quite a bendy plastic. Ceocast, thank you. There's like 0 wastage because they just remelt it and put it back in. So normally you would get like your sprue in the pack, but with them that's such a chunky bit that's part of the casting that they're like, well, no, we'll snap the figures off because they're fine.
Yeah,
but we'll keep that chunky sprue because we can just drop it back in and it gets recycled again.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, whereas resin, there was a chunk of waste because you can't recycle it.
Yeah.
And then they have the big like well at the top of the miniature.
Yeah.
So it all sort of sits in.
They have like, I think it was like, like so many amounts of figures per week or month. But they're skilled enough to know that they won't waste it. And he did say they have like some extra mold at the side. So if they make too much, because they've only got like certain like temperatures, if it's like a hot day, they've got 15 minutes to do the pours, whereas when it's a bit colder, they've got 20, 25 minutes.
Wow.
But if you're not mixed enough, then you don't get a full cast, so the cast's not full. But the bet, get it right or get a bit too much, because if you get a bit too much, you can just pour it into these little like sandbag barricades and stuff like that. So if
so you got something else to
so
run it off to,
which is quite clever.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I don't think they waste that much, but there is a danger of it being wasted. Because I remember like when we did the army painting, we'd get like a guy called Pete, who used to call Strider. He's probably watching this.
I remember.
Yeah, Strider. We mentioned Strider.
He's popped up on the channel before. Strider.
Peter Prowse, love him. He's great. And he used to do loads of casting for us, but he'd have like, if you need any spares, I've just done some extra bits that I poured because I had some spare resin and stuff like that. So he'd always like do that, which is great for like debris on the battlefield. So some spare helmets and stuff, or half a body. Like, I could just put that into the ground so it looks like a dead man.
Oh, do you think that's where like the half dead bodies on bases came from? Where they got the idea?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I know like in the Warhammer World exhibition team, they purposely make bodies, then make casts of those so they can put them around.
Yeah,
which makes a lot of sense. But,
right. Fascinating. I said it. Damn it.
Mrs. Peach likes the fascinating, so do keep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's my phrase.
Yeah,
I say fascinating.
Mine's back in the day.
That's who I am. Get over it, everyone. So I want to talk about something that I perhaps didn't find fascinating.
Oh, okay.
We all know. Well, this is. I'm going to take you through my hobby journey.
Okay.
As being a fresh face.
Do I need to buckle up?
Oh my gosh, Warhammer's amazing. No, I don't think so. It's quite boring in reality. It's like, you get into it and you're like, oh my god, everything's new. Space Marines are awesome. All in power armor and this, that, and the other. But as like more Primaris get released and all that sort of stuff, and I think we've had chats and probably on the show where like when the Black Templars came out in Primaris, it was like, yay, finally, like they're getting a bit more of Gothic. That character and they're being a bit more Gothic and that sort of stuff. So I think that everything that was released at Nova, and I guess this isn't going to be me going, I like that model and I like that model, but I didn't like that one. But I mean, maybe it'll turn into that. Who knows?
Yeah, that's fine.
But that was the first sort of event where I was like, we all kind of guessed what was coming out, and then it came out, and I was like, well, they're all just Space Marines, but they'd like, he's got a bigger backpack on. That guy's got a cape and a rope. Like, I'm all right. Like, I guess it's the Terminators have come out in Leviathan, the Stern Guards.
And that was part of the problem, isn't it? Is that the multi-part kits were of things we've already had.
Yeah.
And that sort of dilutes it a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think, that was like the first release where it was kind of like, all right, okay. oh, AOS looks cool.
Yeah, you know what I would say for the releases, there was quite a broad spectrum.
There
I mean,
was.
Lord of the Rings and Necromunda didn't get much at all, but that
No.
you know you can't please everybody. But
No.
like seeing like there's some Blood Bowl stuff, and then there's the old world stuff being shown, like the new. I don't know if she's like the Fey Enchantress, but she's definitely a damsel on Unicorn.
Yeah.
The Fey Enchantress is like the head honcho of the damsels.
Yeah.
Whereas, but it looks like a Fey Enchantress because of all the gear she's got.
Yeah. There was like a Gary Morley sculpt.
Yes, yeah, there was a
that
Gary
it was
Morley one. There was an
being
old Perry
compared
one.
to.
I think it's Perry or Brian Nelson, which is like my favourite, which is a really original one that had like
Yes.
the weird sort of like old medieval lady head
Yeah.
dress thing. I mean, like with Indomitus, was that the last
9th edition?
Yes,
Yeah.
so that had like the Stern Guard in it and the Justiciar and stuff like that. Is that
It
right?
had
And the
it had
Outriders.
Blade Guard.
Yeah, Blade Guard, that's it.
Yeah,
Stern
Stern
Guard,
Guard
Blade Guard.
were
yeah.
just
I meant
out.
Blade
Yeah.
Guard.
Yes.
So that set was cool. I didn't really paint much of it, but then obviously all those things came out separately, right? Like
Yeah.
the Outriders came out separately, the Blade Guard came out separately.
Yeah.
That's normal. And there will come a point where you probably won't be able to get all the multi-part stuff.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I'm probably not as underwhelmed by it because I'm so used to seeing
Yes.
that stuff.
That's a very good point, actually, because this has been my first new edition that I've sort of been in the hobby for.
Yeah.
So seeing how it all works and be like, oh, well, I've seen that before. And it's like, it's the Terminators again. Oh, but you can put a flamer on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose it's quite familiar from my point of view, and I
Yeah.
kind of expect there to be like multi-parts of these things, and sometimes the photos don't always do the models justice. This is
Yeah.
something I remember of like when I was in the studios and stuff, like people would like slate a particular model, like let's say this particular character's come out, it's like it's really flat, it's not very good, and then because it's a 2D image you don't get the full sense of depth and this, that and the other. I'm not saying you're wrong because you're absolutely entitled to your opinion. You're wrong. No, you're not.
I'm quite happy to be wrong.
No,
sometimes.
but I think I was more underwhelmed by the Assault Marines. Than
Oh, with the jump packs.
Oh,
yeah,
I had real
I mean,
issues there.
I like the idea. I'm going to try and close that a bit more, but
You just have to like properly
use,
rag
use
it,
my
yeah.
use my strength, my strong arm. So I like the previous edition of Marines and jump packs. They did Vanguard and jump pack Marines roughly at the same time.
Yeah.
These ones are all like on tactical rocks, just like skipping over rocks and stuff. But
We all know Jeff loves the tactical rock.
I think they've been clever about it, as opposed to doing the Inceptors, which were on those annoying, stupid flying stands, which hardly a light breeze would knock them off.
Yeah.
You have the choice of like clipping off those rocks and then putting them on those things if you want to, because it's the same sort of backpack style.
Yeah, it was just it's just I can never get my head around the narrative of a 2-ton man stood on a tiny sliver of rock. You go, did you land on it? Instead of when you could have just landed on the ground 30 centimetres to the left.
Yeah.
Or are you taking off from it, which meant you jumped up, got on it, and then you thought, is there, you know, is a 1.5 foot going to make a difference to that backpack that can go at Mach 1 apparently?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I go, if I just give myself a 1.5 foot head start, I'll be right over there.
So
and it's just like, I can't, it's the narrative of it that gets
So
me.
I'm gonna ruin your day, but it's quite normal. If you look at like Drakari, the Scourge that fly are all standing on bases. They're not in flying stands.
Yeah.
What are the Storm Boys? They're also just jumping. Then you've got Havocs, not Havocs, Raptors. They're not in flying stands. They're all
they're
jumping.
always like,
So it's quite actually. If you look at
route,
all the
they?
other versions of all like the jump troops for all of except maybe Gargoyles. I think Gargoyles for Tyranids are fly stands.
So I think I am love attack.
So I sound like I'm a shield, but I'm
No.
not.
Like no, I prefer a tactical rock over a flying stand.
Yeah.
yes.
But I think these Assault Marines, I thought some of them, like, it would have been nice to have one, like, oh, he's just landed and now he's swinging and he's going to hit someone.
Do you know what I would like to see? Do at least like one or two in, not the full Marvel superhero jump landing pose, but you know that sort of looking like it's literally just steadying himself after coming
Do
to
you
a...
think I can see. I did because there's one of them who has both feet on rocks and his toes are like pointed in, and he looks like he's dancing. Like it's quite funny.
Yeah,
that is the weirdest one of them.
Yes, yeah.
See, the problem I think now is that, which would be interesting to see, is that, and it depends how seriously you play the game. If you went, I don't like them, and you took them off them, and you did decide to fly and base them, would you then be modelling for advantage? Because you're going, oh, well, now you can see over that rock. Can you see? There is that whole thing of like modelling for advantage. Or
I suppose if you're in a tournament, then yeah, I guess that would be a debate. But I can't give two
I've
tosses.
now finally figured out how to do the flying bases. You don't glue it into the back of the backpack. What you actually do is you drill a hole right up his arsehole, and then you get the flying base and you file it, and then you just stick it right in there. Honestly, he loves it.
Honestly, I don't know why they moved from the standard like plug and hole flying stands. They used to have the ones with like the ball and the socket, which was fine. And they're quite clunky around the back. It works better for like flying vehicles because you've got that extra bit of engine or space where you can like do the ball and socket. But yeah, I hate those like little. I'm just gonna give you a little cup around the back. I guess it was like at the time. Because I was there, it was like less intrusive on the model, and there was less like holes and stuff, and I can appreciate. But then it's that art versus practicality,
and the problem is you have to get to do anything decent with them. You have to get super glue involved because plastic glue, and then the minute you get super glue, then you're in frosting territory, and then you get the messiness, and there is no great way to it. And I think it was when I decided to drill into the back end of them and then file it and then put it on. He went, although I did glue them in the end, but I looked at them and went, he's standing up on that and it's just based on fitting. There's no glue involved, and then obviously glued to make sure. But yeah, so I looked at them and I'm very sure I'm in a very small minority, but I just went, I'd just rather have flying stands personally, because I think the old Mark 8 assault marines were just on the ground.
They were
just running along the ground.
Because you could. Well, the reason for that is you could do them because you had normal backpacks, because there could be assault marines as well as jump marines.
That's right.
And it was the same for the second set as well. There were assault marines stroke jump marines, whereas now you have assault intercessors and jump troopers, so they're two separate roles.
Because I saw, I think it was, is it Fletcher? Fletcher Paint. I can't specifically remember his handle, but he's a studio painter for Tabletop Tactics now. And after the announcement, he was like, "Oh, this is like there was a kit bash of a Primaris Marine with the older packs on." And it looked awesome. It was just like standing like a normal marine.
I'm not a fan of the new pack because
they are a bit big.
They're the sort of like Inceptor style, like chunk, and
which is like you go. I get that for obviously because the size of a Gravis Armor Marine jumping, but these guys are a bit smaller, so you thought they'd have done them their own one.
They're in Gravis Armor, aren't they? That's why they felt right and scaled right. Where that's what I was trying to put my finger on. Why I couldn't. I was like, why do they look so big? And it's because the Inceptors are in Gravis Armor, of course.
There's some nice stuff, but the problem being is it goes back to what we were talking about with Kirioth the other week, or Bart, with
Bartholomew, the third.
Yeah, it was that, that thing of like, spoilers in the long run don't do us any favours, and it was a little bit like that because they came out and you went, oh yeah, we heard he was going to be scouts, we heard he was going to be, and it was a bit like, and I think if it had gone into it a little bit blind of like what was coming, basically everything that came out I knew was coming. There was a couple of things I knew they were doing a new command squad. I didn't know what was going to be in it. Obviously there was going to be a captain in it, but I've got to be honest, I thought the new standard bearer with the cloak pulled right over his shoulder, I thought looked quite nice. I thought the heavy bolter guy looked quite nice. So there was some, the champion looked just like the champion that they did as a special edition miniature.
Yeah, you were saying
6 months ago.
Yes.
Different pose, but other than that, exactly the same. Which is basically a slightly fancier looking blade guard. Yeah,
it's nice to get a command squad though, because it's been a long time since that's been a thing.
I didn't know that was coming out, and then, like it's. So I realized during this release that like I'm the problem. So like sometimes
well, no, you're not a hobbyist with your own opinions.
Yeah, but. I'll get to my point.
Oh, come on. All right, sorry.
We're being extraordinarily supportive.
We've talked about how, like with Richard Gray on, and like, there's just too much detail on these miniatures, and you can't put as an artist, like put your own mark on them because there's ropes and pouches everywhere and all that sort of stuff. I'm like, that's a very good point. But then like the standard Marine comes out, and I'm like, well, I've seen that 100 times. He's got a big flyy backpack on and he stood on a rock. Like, it's a bit boring. And then, like, the command squad, I'm like, yeah, they're cooler. And I'm like, yeah, because they're covered in bits.
Yeah.
And then...
You can't win, can you?
And then the Terminator Chaplain, I have to say, I was like, I'm like, Chaplain Terminator armor, amazing, awesome, best thing ever. But I saw it and I was like, comparing him to... There was like a special release one, and he's like, he's got his full. I'm assuming the new one comes with the full skull mask,
full skull or half, yeah,
yeah.
Got both.
But like the special edition one, he's got his cape, he's covered in purity seals and all that sort of stuff, and I'm like, that looks so much cooler. I'd want that over the new one every time. But then I'm like, but oh no, it's covered in bits, and we don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I because I was different with the review. I really liked all the new stuff.
Yeah,
there was just some of the posing of the assault troops were a bit like that. That's doesn't look like you're jumping or whatever. But then you know, obviously it's gone through design processes and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Trust the system.
There's reasons. Yeah,
there's definitely reasons But I really like them for the simplicity, because you've not painted enough armies yet, Pat. When you get around to painting as many armies as I, you'll be like, that Chaplain's perfect.
Yes.
That Chaplain, I'm so glad they've made this Chaplain, because I can add the detail if I need to. Whereas,
and that's it. And I think, like, when we streamed on Twitch, you could just, you know, if I wanted to, I could go on Etsy and just go purity seals and just cover him in them.
I was a foot in both camps when I seen him and went, I was expecting more.
Yeah.
And then my brain immediately went, oh, the great thing is now is with having a number of the sprues still knocking around, I thought, I can Templar the shit out of him.
Yes.
Because, and then the nice thing is that I'm not having to take other stuff off to put Templar on.
Yeah.
It's already quite a bare bones.
Yeah.
It's quite a bare bones carcass of a thing. And I thought, because I can, you know, there's so many great things for Templars that I thought by the time I finish with him, he'd end up looking like a special edition miniature anyway, because there'd be just that much, you know, because I thought, you know, the Templars like a good scroll, and they like a chain. I can go to town on him.
Chain.
So I thought,
whips and chains.
So I thought, so I initially went, and then I eventually went, I would have spent my life filling in full of gear anyway, and now I'm not having to take gear off to put gear on.
Yes,
and so I thought, in the long run, on a personal level, probably for the better.
And I think it's like this like phase with my hobby journey and that kind of thing is like I'll look at a model and go, I like that, and I might look at another one and go, I'm not as enthused by that one. And the fact that we're in this position, being like, oh, there were so many things that were released, and let's face, like, they're all pretty great. Like the standards are so high now, but I have to kind of like remind myself. It's like, no, like, I can alter it. I'm allowed to do that. That's that kind of thing. Like with, say, you know, kit bashing me space ducks and doing a head swap, and that's
the peachy thing, because you, the minute we show you see anything, you immediately going, I could make that into a that. And that's where where you'll, as you know, without going, oh, as seasoned veteran, because you know I'm not, but you will now look at Marines and you go, I could put the what's name on that, and I could change that to the that.
That's it. So like the tactical rock scenario.
You in some ways, you know, as much as I, from liking the look of the Templars, like the idea of Marines being more Gothic. The blank slate allows you to put the level of Gothic on you want.
That you want,
Or in some cases, some Marines are less Gothic, like Space Wolves or whatever. So you could, like, you know, if you wanted to do a cool conversion of an Iron Priest, you've got that Terminator. Like, you know what, I've got a basis now, and I can add all the furs and like the weird sort of like masks and stuff. I
think the only thing that would have instantly made that Chaplain, Terminator Chaplain, look a little bit more grander was, I think he just needed a cloak. I think just the cloak would.
Do we know what comes in the set though? They've only shown us things, so I mean, it could be, because they've done this a few times, and I don't know if it's like clever marketing or what. Where there's been a couple of like models that have been out. Trying to think of one recently. It was like one of the Gene Stealer cultists, I think. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I think it was the Magos, actually. Oh, no, I can't remember. But there's been a few figures, and I've looked at them and gone, they're all right. And then you get them, and there's so many more options. Like the Sanctus is one, because he comes with a sniper rifle as well as a knife. It shows you with a knife. But then he has a different head option. He has a hood option and stuff like that.
Well, you know the new Chaplain on, the Primaris Chaplain on motorbike? I didn't know he had a bare head with a beard until I literally opened the blooming packet.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's got he's shaved
Yeah.
headed, but with like a big sturdy beard.
I can see my chaplain on a
Over
motorbike
there.
just
yeah.
out there.
But
Yeah,
I didn't know until I got him. And because I also thought new Terminator Captain looked, which is very rare, and it's not very rare when they do the multi-part release where I look at them and go, oh, do you know, I actually like the push fit one more because I thought the new Captain looked a little bit sparse. Again, a bit like the and it's one of the I know having options for more weaponry in the box would be useful.
Yeah,
but I actually looked at him and went, do you know what? I might not bother because I
Yeah.
think the one I've got from the box set from the Leviathan is nice enough, and all I've got to do is source the bits.
Yeah.
But my only criticism, if I was to throw one, and we talked about this when we were doing live streaming, is I think it's the Terminator, Chaplin Terminator, is his dead gingerbread man on his chest plate.
Oh, yes. Yeah, because he doesn't have an Aquila. Yeah.
He has like a giant head with arms going,
yeah.
I thought he might have looked a little bit. I know it's following on from Chaplin on the bike, but I thought he might have looked a little bit more interesting if they just painted the rib cage effect as a rib cage.
Yeah.
Instead of in black. I know they did it in black on the bike as well,
mean,
so they've got a theme.
Yeah. I mean, you give it to Richard Gray and he'll paint all the ribs in.
Yeah.
And it'll
absolutely,
look amazing, won't it? Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think for me, and it's very rare I say this, being not something I dabble in, I thought the Slanesh Demons were my favourite thing on the release.
Oh, yeah. So I was going to go on to like all the other stuff because
Yeah.
that was a surprise to me because I didn't expect to see Gorges for Warcry. So if you don't know your Ogre Kingdoms, they used to have a bunch of cannibal ogres called Gorges. There's a whole war band of them, which is amazing. Just like a bunch of like cannibalistic ogre guys. So that was a huge surprise. And there's one in the classic pose because they were quite comical. They're like just like eating stuff, like loads of gore on them. So it's nice to see that pose plus all these other ones. But yeah, that Underworld set, because you got the Slanesh Demons and it was the Lumineth. Not Lumineth, sorry, Ideneth. There's a couple of Ideneth characters. But yeah, there's one Slanesh Demon I was a bit like, but the other two are like, they're really cool.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
cool on them.
The one I wasn't sure of was the one with the arms at the weird angles.
I think that's one.
The fat one in the middle was really good.
Yeah.
That thing again of Slanesh, the new Slanesh leaning into excess in different forms, as opposed to oh look, the sexy, and you go, oh, sexy demons, oh, demon that goes to
like
Greg's.
tentacles? Here's tentacle legs.
Greg's demon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oof. Yeah. But yeah, I thought as some people said in the chat, they were like AOS was the winner.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever looked at like a Warcry release and gone, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like they smash it every single time.
Because
And they're
imagination
also
is-
different.
Which is
They have more freedom,
Yeah,
I
which
guess.
is the opposite
Yeah.
of Space Marines. Space Marines, you can only go so far before you're boxed in, whereas the other way around lets you run riot with that, I think.
So Disco Zinch, friend of the show, is one of our patrons.
Yes.
Michael. Hi, Mike. He made a great observation, which was like that new Wilder Core Rangers. They're the human sort of Citizen Sigma hunter guys.
Yeah.
A few people are saying they'll make great witch hunter extra guys. So get some of the witch hunters. They can be like the rank and file for like if you want to go more time and do witch hunters. These would be cool for that.
Yeah.
But he was like they'll make great Cordor because they've got that kind of like crenellated tabard or Cordor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A little head swap, maybe like a weapon swap. You've got some extra cool like Cordor-esque looking dudes. Again, every model's an Necromunda model.
Yep.
Yeah.
So as is always the case, and those dogs. Who doesn't like dogs? I mean, is having extra doggos. But for me, because still in the Mordheim vein, was again massive surprise was the Vampire Count Blood Bowl team.
Oh, went it great?
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
Yeah.
because there is like literally one that looks like it would fit Isabella von Carstein, and you could just do like von Carstein-esque vampires and use the other guys as like dregs and whatever. For
Yeah.
I like the
Mordheim.
fact that the humans in it have got, you can see the puncture holes in their neck.
Yeah, with a big
cool.
flamboyant like Jack's like, oh hello, and then you were like, there's the classic like,
Yeah. Like one of them's going to teach me how to count.
I love the idea that they're playing a sport, but one still had time to stop and go, whoa.
Yeah. They're just so funny. Like
They
they've
are.
really
They've
leaned into it.
into the humour of making vampires, while still, but leans into the humour of them, but not making them silly.
Yes.
And I think that's the perfect balance, isn't it?
Because I'd started doing it was in the studio because they were doing a Blood Bowl sort of campaign league's probably a better word. And I had started doing vampires, and I went with the classic countdown as the leader. And I was like, what am I going to call him? And of course, you got the annoying little teddy bear sort of toys called Sylvanian families.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But in that lore, the place where all the vampires live is called Sylvania. So I was like, I've got the Sylvanian families. Makes sense. So I think I might, I've talked about getting into Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
Because I don't really play it. I had a bad experience playing it. It was just really dull.
Yeah.
And I just assumed the game was like that. I need to get over myself. I think Vampire Counts might be the one that draws
Well, again,
me into it.
for when we moved, the games that are small enough that we can film.
Oh,
aren't they?
yeah,
They're not like
absolutely.
7 hours long.
Oh,
Yes.
but Blood Bowl is 7
Oh,
hours
is it?
long.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
There was me with the idea. It might be quite fun. But then again, to be fair, I've only ever sat through one full American
Dungeon
football
Bowl,
game.
yeah.
And that was about 7 hours long as well. So
Dungeon Bowl and Sevens is
so
quicker,
it's-
so we can play Sevens and Dungeon Bowl. That's supposed to be a bit more faster paced.
Okay.
But classic Blood Bowl could go on for some time. I've seen people that have been having like games that like, we've got a lunchtime game, and then like 5 lunchtimes later they're still not finished it. It's like, you got an hour for lunch. How's it taking so long? It's like, oh well, we had I think it's called a turnover or whatever. Like, you see that's the thing that, and I guess I'll get slated in the comments, and I don't care because it's just my experience of it. But like, if you drop the ball, your turn ends, and then it's the other person's turn, and they do a thing. So I was just like, oh, is that it? I thought I get to move everybody. No. As soon as like you fluff it or something goes wrong, it's now your opponent's turn.
Oh.
So I'm like, so you could literally like, this guy's moved that guy, and he's moved that guy, and he's done this thing. You're like, oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna move. Oh, I've dropped it. Oh yeah, it's my turn again. I'm like, what?
Is that?
Well, it's like a bad pass in real football, isn't it? You can be all storming your way towards the goal, and you go to pass it, and it misses, and the other guy picks it and wellies it down the other end, and you go,
oh no,
that is essentially like the end
cleverly
of
written for that vibe alone. But just for me, who's so used to like turn taking,
Yes.
and I was just a bit like, this is not fair. I'm spending energy.
could people feel like that? Because like I played a tiny bit of Warcry at yours, and like you get those massive monsters turn up, or like really bad weather. Like, does that feel like that? Do you feel like
no? Depends on your warband. If you have like loads of little figures versus like 3 guys, then it might feel like that because they're getting more turns because they're activating more things. But your 3 guys, there's only 3 for a reason because they're knobbard. Whereas the 15, 13 little gribblies aren't as hard. So it might feel like you've moved a guy, they've moved a guy, you've moved a guy, they've moved a guy, you've moved a guy, and then you sit there for another 3-4 minutes while they move the rest of the guys. There might be an element of that. So I can see that, but you will probably smash them to pieces. So whereas me, I was like dropping the ball, didn't know anything about the game, and then just getting creamed every 5 seconds, going, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing. You're supposed to be teaching me. I was like, I'm going to teach you the hard way. Oh, okay.
Oh,
so not the fun way.
That's fun.
The hard way, which is you don't tell me the rules, I learn nothing, and I realise the game's rubbish. Cool. That's the best way to teach someone how to play a game.
We used to have a friend when me and Tim used to we used to play a lot more than we currently do. We used to have a friend who would bring around new games. And he'd go, "I've brought a new game, we'll all try." And do you know what? We only found certain rules out as he was doing them to you.
I've experienced those people. Sometimes I'm so paranoid when I'm teaching people that I do that. I'm just like, right, because I don't want to chuck too much info, but at the same time I like try and like go, oh, this is we're going to introduce a new mechanic this turn. This is the new mechanic. So I try and do it in turns, but I hate that type of player.
I don't know, sometimes it's not intentional. It's just obviously it comes into their mind because they're now about to do it. But sometimes it is a bit like, that was convenient.
Is that a rule, or have you just made that up? You'd be like, the super mega kill everyone instant win rule.
It's the best rule.
I think the thing that was interesting and took from it was the little more snippets into Space Marine Codex, which I thought was quite interesting. Was the fact that obviously they've now started, there's been Winters has done an episode, and obviously Auspex Tactics amongst others have done episodes of now having the Tyranid Codex. And they're going, there's now 6 different types of hive fleets, and they do different things. And you can do one where it's all a bit, things just keep coming back on the board, and then you can do another one where it allows you to just only play the big monsters.
Oh, right. Cool.
And they've done, because, the thing is, I think for people at the moment is going, well, all my Space Marines are painted to be this chapter, and there isn't a thing, there's no codex for them, because they've decided at the moment who is and who isn't. But they've done this thing of going that when you get the Space Marines, it'll be like, 1 guys are all about being steadfast and heavy weaponry and staying where they are, and you go, oh well, that means that's basically playing within the vibe of Imperial Fists.
Yeah.
And although a lot of guys, it works better if you put this list as designs around putting them on motorbikes, and you go, well, there's my white scars. So it's that thing of sort of giving you a codex, not giving you a codex, but then at the same point in time, if you're an Ultramarine player and you really like motorbikes, you can still play that list as well.
Okay.
So it's a sort of like a foot in both camps. And I think it's far from perfect, because I think there's nothing nicer if you play your army that you have your own codex.
Yeah.
As opposed to feeling a little bit like an afterthought. But I also thought it was a good way of everybody gets a little bit of a bite at the apple in the same way.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
There's a thing they did with Cities of Sigma. Obviously, the boxes turn up, so I'd be interested to read the rules there. But the thing they did with the Cities of Sigma, and they mention it in the rules, they give you like 6 cities, and each city has its own style of play and its own way of hiring allies. So like if you decided to do the Tempest's Eye, you can have access to more Carriage and Overlord units. If you did Hammerhell, you can have access to more Stormcast units. So your normal rank and file dwarves, elves, humans, but you can, it's not like part of your allied contingent, it's extras on top of that you could recruit as part of your warband. So you're like, I can have more Stormcast in this is cool. And they did the same for like the Living City, you can have more Sylvaneth. But because it's like the Living City, it's branded as that, and it's got this colour scheme, and it's like Hammerhell, it's branded as that, you're encouraged to paint it as that, even though there's a designer's note saying you can paint whatever you want and use it as you want. A lot of people would assume that, oh, so you've got a Tempest Eye collection. Like, no, this is my own city I've made up, it's called this. It's like, no, it's Tempest Eye because that's the Tempest Eye list with this, that, and other. Whereas I like the idea of like giving you styles, and then you go, I'm going to go with that style, I'm going to give it this colour scheme, and then because that fits with what I've got. I prefer that, because then you can be more creative. Yeah. But like from a Space Marine point of view, you could do White Scars, or you could make your own chapter, which are bikers, Raven Guard, even if you want to. If you want to play outside the rules of like using the Dark Angel Codex, and want to have like an offshoot of like, you know, they're part of this or they're from there, they're not part of the Dark Angels anymore, or whatever, you can do that. So I like that more, I think. Some of it from my point of view. Yeah.
You know, I know it's, like I say, it's a shame if you don't get your own codex and full of art and, you know, and all the rest of it, and, you know, and unit markings and all the rest of it. But you know what was nice to see make its way back into the Tyranid Codex, and it's been a long time absent? Painting Guide.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
They did them in all the Age of Sigma ones, but they I think they're bringing them into the 40k ones now, and that's good.
Yeah, they shot it in the foot for 40k a long time ago, didn't they? And it's nice to see them finally coming back in again, which is, I always was one of my favourite bits, was just seeing how, you know. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, a little bit of how to draw an owl going on. But, you know.
Was it the heavy metal schemes?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and also sort of, you
get the army painters doing like, so you'd have like 10 spreads in the Age of Sigma books, and you'd have like way to paint a banner, how to freehand a design on banner, how to paint the gems. It was relevant to the army. How to dry brush this type of bark, how to dry brush that type of bark. And then there'll be like a guide of like, this is this grove, this grove, this grove. So they'll have like a selection of different colour schemes that you can pick from, and like, you know, 1, 2, 3 heavy metal. Not quite. It's
Love
a
it.
bit less than that. But it was like a useful guide. Using the colours that are available. Sometimes, you know, when I was in Warhammer TV, I had a great relationship with like Tom and Steve, who was still in the army painting team. So we're trying to align the colour schemes together, like what are you doing for the book, because I'll do that for TV. So whatever is in the book would match physically on video. And sometimes you're a bit like, we can't show mixing. Oh yeah, well, we've done this mix, that mix. I'll say it's that colour then. So sometimes there was a few times when you'd be like, why have you mixed that? That colour exists. Oh yeah. It happens a lot, because sometimes you're so used to like going, this is a nice tone. You're like, but you know we sell that right. yeah. Oh yeah, but this cover's better. Okay. Well,
and again, I don't know why I'm surprised to find out that it was your personal relationships within another team that made that happen, and not like a managerial decision.
Oh yeah.
I did the same thing the other day. You know, I sat there and I mixed an AK modern British Army vehicle green colour, and I sat there and I mixed it with a bone to create like a highlight colour, and I started putting it on. As I was putting it on, I thought, it's called AK pale green. It's called AK green white, or pale green, or what? And I thought, and it's in the bloody box over there. I'd spent there for 10 minutes trying to get this thing, and then I realised, look, Joe, it's just sitting there looking at me. Like, I'm sure that. And as I was putting it on, I thought, I'm sure this used to be my highlight colour for Death Guard. And I was like,
Yes.
oh yeah, because it's there. I was like, oh.
The naming convention for AK is great because the other day I was looking for a brown leather colour. There's one called brown
Well,
leather.
leather, yeah, that's really.
Yeah.
It's a bit Ron Seal, isn't it? Just what it says on the tin, isn't it?
You know what? It was something Goobertan
Yeah.
mentioned that there's a lot of paint companies that go for like Gore Grunter Fur and I don't know, Berserker Bloodshade. Is that? But what does that look like?
Yeah.
If I'm colourblind,
Yeah.
what does that look like?
Yeah.
Whereas if it's
Yeah.
like olive green,
So
brown leather,
yeah, so AK doing that is brilliant,
Yeah.
and then props to Army Painter.
Yes, they started-
on their speed paint set that they very kindly sent us. They have the name of the paint, which might be like so it has like howling sand.
Yeah.
But then it will say this is a pale sand color.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is really good. So
Yeah.
they do both.
because
yeah.
Pro Acryl have like coal black and
Yes.
bold white and
Yeah.
dark
'Cause
green and
you-
emerald green.
You're right.
Yeah.
If you are colourblind,
It's a nightmare.
And especially one of the main problems is we don't see warlocks walking down. Oh, look at the purple cloak on that warlock. You know what I mean?
You'd be like, I mean, that's my euphemism. When I'm,
I mean, the
yeah.
old naming conventions were fine. Like midnight blue, snot green looks like snot. It's kind of green.
Yeah.
Looks like
red
a very-
gore. Yeah.
It's a very dark blue. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I realised that it's only through when I took paints out that eventually my brain has caught up with Age of Sigmar and then finally go, oh, so that's what one of them is from the paint.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, not
yes,
from the paint
yes,
to one of
yes,
them.
Yeah. I'm like that exactly. Yeah. Where there might be like if I'm listening to a book or whatever, and I'm just like, oh, that's where the paint comes from.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm still doing it now because obviously
Yeah.
my fantasy knowledge isn't as good as my 40k knowledge, and you do go, okay.
Yeah. I did have I'm listening to The Infinite and the Divine at the moment.
Oh yeah,
Divine.
I've not listened to that, but a lot of people really love it.
Yes, yeah, and it is really, really good
That's
fun.
about Trazin, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
and he's like Nylak Dynasty.
I
Or-
didn't think he was painted like Nala.
He's-
So I needed to get something so I can remember a name.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's painted. There's a few characters that were painted in Nylak Dynasty,
Yeah,
but they were in
'cause-
like the Zarakan Dynasty as characters. But yeah,
something
okay.
like that. But in the book, I won't go into spoilers and everything if people haven't read it, or are going to. But there's a bit where they're fighting some orcs.
Yeah.
Spoilers. And he's like, oh, and all these soldiers come in and they're going like, Nylak ascended, and I'm like, oh my god, Peachy made that.
I think you'll find Matt Ward made that. I just painted the thing. Well, he came up with the name and we talked about it. But yeah, it's a joint operation.
Yeah, but it was really cool to be like, because
Yeah.
say like the way you've talked about it, and I've realised, obviously like you can come up with your own paint scheme and you can go, they're this, and you might just say, oh, yeah, I just came up with a paint scheme, it's fine.
Yeah.
But then here we are, I'm like listening to the audiobook in the car and these Necrons are screaming like Nylak, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so cool.
I work with the guy that made that.
Yeah, like that's kind of like making homebrew kitbashy stuff to the extreme that it's like in all these books, and it's cool.
Always was and always is one of my favourite parts of the hobby is like coming up with, we talked about homebrew stuff, but doing that for a business and then it becoming part of the lore and whatever. And I imagine over time, they'll like die off and then other colour schemes because it's nice for someone else to go on that journey and do their thing.
I seen someone the other day painted. I can't remember your name if you're watching. I do apologise. Someone the other day, within no time of it being released, had painted their Phobos left throne from Leviathan as your one.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah.
Which it came up and I thought, oh, that's cool.
That was like a last minute decision as well when we were painting because I was like, we want white armor. It makes sense to go with the orange shoulder pads as a nice accent, and then black fields for the shoulder pads. Tried it the way around. It didn't work. It looked weird.
Yeah.
Because you got the rubber undersuit, and then it will be like a black sort of trim. It just didn't match. It was a bit too like messy. And then it was like when I was painting the face, because I sprayed him white, and I was like, we look better black. So then I just like washed a couple of thin coats of like Black Legion. It just was more of a charcoal black or rubber black.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was nice to try something different and going down the route of like make the Spec Ops guy look more Spec Ops.
Well, it was funny because when they showed them coming out, I was at the time thought, when I realised you couldn't put him in a squad, I thought, I might paint him black, and then I thought, but I probably won't. I'll probably just do him like the rest of them. And then I've gone, back and forth. And then when you did it, I went, oh, you know what? Yeah, I am. I am. You know what I
just needed permission.
I needed someone to sort of just shove me out of my comfort zone, because I'm terrible for painting in my comfort zone. And then when, and I thought, that's it. And because I'm playing campaign for Leviathan, and he is like Lieutenant, I can't remember what we called him, Lieutenant Bob Smith, but he's also in brackets as AKA the Black. That's his his nickname. I just to really I did, because I got obsessed with it, as I do. I got obsessed with the idea of him being tactical, but I also did the thing was I thought the idea of him is that he terrifies. Is the idea to try and terrify Tyranids, which is obviously ridiculous, but is every single piece of what would be bare metal, like the strap next to the clip next to a strap, every single one of them I've done in like a reasonably brightish Tyranid green. It's as if every bit's been painted in your blood, you know what I mean?
Nice.
There is not other than on the gun, there is no bare metal, either there's green against the black, just to create this weird effect.
I saw an amazing meme made up. It started with it's like a bunch of Space Marines from Astartes, and they're going like, doesn't that guy know that his microphone's open? And then it cuts to the Leviathan trailer with that Primaris Lieutenant singing "I'm Still Standing" as he's like murdering Tyranids, but it's like a metal version, and he's like, "I'm still standing, stab, stab."
I swapped his head out as well. I swapped his head out and gave him a Reaver one.
Yeah,
just thought make it look a bit more terrifying.
I mean, I put a Beacon Marine on mine, and I think
it's a
really
lovely miniature. That it really is.
Yeah.
I love the fact he's come with all the knives.
Yes. Yeah. At first, I was like, he seems really different to the rest. And obviously, you explained that. Oh no, because I've not got the book at that point.
Yeah.
Because there's a bit of story about it. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Because he's like the lone survivor.
Yeah, he's quite cool.
Something I've always fancied doing. If I get round to doing a Marine collection, let's say, we carry on adding stuff to the Painting Phase collection or whatever, and like back in the early days, like the 90s, probably late 80s, they used to do like obviously Marines. You had like some of the ones that we know now and other random named ones, but they had like some with like camo patterns on them and stuff. Which is really weird. But like at the time it was normal. And it'd be like, and I know Tammy Nichols, who used to work in licensing, she does a lot of the old school paint jobs, like the Eldari and like the Marines and stuff.
Yeah.
So I forget Tears of Envy, I think she's known as on Instagram. So check that out for like some cool classic paint jobs. But she's done some with like Tiger Strike camo and stuff, and I was like, it'd be really cool to like try that on Phobos. Like everything else is like normal, but
and I think camos. I think there is an army in the Leviathan book, which is it might be in the campaign section, and the whole army's painted whatever way, and then all the Phobos are all done in that in like desert cam, which is quite cool. I thought it was quite a good. You were talking about that, didn't the Raptors used to be? But I know they're now still in that sort of green, but they used to be like blue and black, blue and yellow camouflage.
One of those used to be like yellow one with blue accents on it. And then Forge World made Raptors like camo green. I don't know if they had camo or not. They might have had camo early days, but yeah, they were like, I don't know if it was like the Badab War or whatever, but they were like yellow armor with like blue trim and maybe a blue helmet or something like that. But yeah, Forge World made them cool.
Yeah,
and gritty.
Is that where the modern day Raptor colour scheme comes from? This Forge World. Oh right, interesting.
Cool. There is a guy. I can't remember his name. There's a guy. He pops up on my Instagram quite a lot, and he does Raptors to like the extreme. Everything's filed off them, and they're just covered in like pouches. There's one that must be meant to be like a demolition expert.
Is there pouches on the shoulder pads?
Of course. No, there isn't. Or otherwise, I'd be unfollowing him.
We wouldn't be talking about it. Yeah.
Pete the Wargamer's on a knife edge. He knows that.
Yeah.
No, but he puts like all the pouches on here, like demolition pouches and things like that. But yeah, they look really cool. It really leans into that whole Raptor thing of them. He does. They have, I think he's getting them off Modern Military decal sheets. He does like stenciled numbers on the chest, but files everything else off.
Okay.
Yeah, really
I think
cool.
I know the chap. Yeah, or know of the chap. I'm gonna see if I can find him on Instagram.
The chap.
Yeah, because they're really, I do follow them. but it might take me a while to find
Yeah,
it.
sometimes when you follow so many folks, because I follow quite a lot of people, that your feed, you see it, and then if you're not careful, you're like, oh, I'll go back, and then it's like refreshed, and you're like, oh, I'm never going to find
never
that
see
again.
that ever again.
And I can't remember the name now, and then sometimes it will turn up back later, and you're like, oh, that's the thing I was looking at. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the weekend after Warlord,
Oh yeah.
I went. So I'm going to do a couple of shout outs if you don't mind, because
Oh,
I
please
can. So I parked at One World because I wasn't sure what the parking was going to be like at Warlord, even though it's like a 7-minute walk. So I walked up and I got back. Thought I'd have a look in the store. Can you get the Necromunda rulebook for Love and Money? No, you cannot.
No.
I will borrow yours at some point and have a
Yeah.
read. It's just like, why is it out of print? Why is it still out of print? Jesus, they're going for a party next door.
Yeah,
Let's go and join in.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I was getting ready to go on my bike, got my stuff, and then there was like two young lads. I'd probably say like teens, like late teens. I say young lads because I don't want to assume their age. And they're like, "Oh, Peachy." I was like, "Oh, I'll go over and sit down." I had a good chat with them, and they were having a good match, which was good because I assume they're friends. I didn't ask. I didn't get your names either, so I feel terrible. But they were doing a classic grid match, which was one had Slanesh, which is the best army, and then his mate had Khorne, which one for young hobbyists is good to see that kind of narrative grudge build up, because that is the classic sort of like chaosy grudge where you got Slanesh. Currently Slanesh is winning. I'll be pleased to find out if Slanesh won that game as well, but we'll never know. But I had a good chat with them, got my bike, rode home, and got a nice message from his mum saying it made his day, chatting to him, so that was nice.
Oh, sweet.
I'd had a load of pegs in my pocket and didn't get around to pegging those chaps, which is a shame. I had a load of...
Well, probably for the best, depending on their age.
It's just a clothes peg, Jeff. It's just a clothes peg. I don't know what your problem is. I got home and Liz was like getting like shoes on and stuff like that. She's like, "Oh, me and Charlie are going to go down to the village because there's like a little craft fair." I was like, "Oh, can I come along?" She's like, "Yeah, of course." So I got my shoes on, walked down there. Met like a handful of people that were like, "Oh, you're Peachy from the Painting Phase." I had a pocket full of pegs, so I was like severely pegging at this craft fair. But Charlie like has auditory sensory issues, and we're in this hall, and it was just like he wasn't enjoying it. So we went outside. I'd gone the opposite way around, so I was like looking at some of the stands and stuff.
Yeah.
There's some really nice stuff. So I was outside, and he was happy outside, so we're chatting. I started chatting to some of the guys I pegged as well. You know, it's nice to have a nice conversation after you peg someone.
Oh, I always think so. It's just it's just gentlemanly, isn't it? To be fair.
Yeah, oh, great. I had a good chat with them, and then we headed off. And as I was walking off, Liz was like, "Oh, did you see the dice stand?" I was like, "No." Because I was outside with our son. When did I get a chance to look at the dice stand? There's a dice stand. She's like, "Oh yeah, you should go and have a look." I was like, "Cool." So she went off, carrying looking at other places. I went in. There's a fella called the Tabletop Smith, and I was chatting to him, and he was like, "Oh, you Peachy?" So I pegged him as well, and he put the thing on Instagram, like I got pegged, because it was like his first craft event as well.
Oh, right, yeah.
And having a good chat with him, and he brought like a little coffin tray thing, and he gave me a little bag of dice and stuff, which was
very cool.
Which was nice. But yeah, it was just nice getting around from Warlord. Weirdly, I pegged more people outside of Warlord.
Yeah.
On that day.
That's hilarious.
And then that evening we went to a joint friend of ours, and there was a couple of guys there that are hobbyists as well, but I had no more pegs on me. I was pegged out.
There we go.
It was a full day of pegging on Saturday. Our branding is going across Spondon quite
nice.
Quite
That's
hard.
what I like to hear.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, Tabletop Smithy was he's just starting off, and he does a lot of woodcut dice trays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think I've found our Raptor
Oh, nice.
person who is that who you're thinking
That's
of, Jeff?
the fella.
Yeah.
Oh, he
What's
does some
the,
lovely
So
stuff.
it's Golgoth 17.
Ooh, I don't think I've found that.
and the
he's very
17
good.
is like Roman numerals.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're really, really cool. All he posts is Raptors, but like I'm here for it.
Yeah, he's like king of the Raptors.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's something to be said about it, because Adam.
So that's like all the packs and everything.
yeah,
on there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam Langton, presenter of Warmer TV, before he got the job, and still does now. He's very much Death Watch.
Yes.
And posts only Death Watch. I don't think he might have posted something that was once not Death Watch, but
Yeah.
he's got a huge following. But
I'm gonna
that's
have a look.
just everyone's just
That's like
interested.
his army that was in Warhammer
Yes,
World.
it is,
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
good God, that's
Yeah.
bloody lovely.
I think
it's so good.
I think they're using it as a back rep on Warhammer Plus as well.
Oh, every
makes
single
sense.
thing, and it's converted, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really, really, really
I remember
good.
when he was applying for the Warmer Plus job, and I don't understand why he didn't get it, because he was good enough to do it. But you know, we got him for Wommer TV YouTube channel for a bit, and he did some of his stuff on there. And I think he did do some Plus stuff, but then he pulled his back playing squash, even though he's got a bad back. Anyway, you're an idiot, Adam. I don't know why he did that. Stop fighting crime at night. But yeah, his Deaf Watch, because there's Deaf Wing, Deaf Guards, Deaf Watch, Deaf Company. There's a lot of deaf.
There's a lot of deaf.
There's a lot of deaf skulls.
He went through a phase of so the honest talk
on
Instagram.
Yeah.
Absolutely, give him a follow. He went through a phase of painting a Custodes. And
I suppose that's just to get Henry Cavill to follow him. Maybe
there's a Necron on there and a White Scar. And an Ultramarine.
Oh,
terrible.
Well, not old again.
Oh no, that was really cool because he kit bashed a Lieutenant Titus, which was really cool.
Yeah, it's not bad.
To be fair,
it's not bad.
A bit.
Yeah,
showcasing his skills.
So yeah, and then it goes back to Death Watch. Yeah,
and the Death Watch stuff is absolutely lovely. I was in awe of it the other week when I was in the studio.
How long ago was that? Sorry, Jeff. How long ago was those things?
Excuse me.
How long ago
was the stuff that wasn't Death Watch? Because I have a theory.
It's post him starting work at GW.
It's post.
Post, yeah.
Okay, because I wondered if he was doing it for to say I can paint other stuff,
and
then paint them and showed us, and then post
maybe,
them.
Maybe he painted before you only got around to put on Instagram.
The Custodes was May this year.
So no, it wouldn't be that then.
No.
Unless it was for Wommer Plus to get a job at Wommer Plus. I don't blame him.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, June, yeah, and then back to it.
Yeah, he's a good painter, Adam.
Yeah, very good.
Sometimes went overboard on some of the tutorials, as we often chatted about. Adam, I think you've gone a bit too far. I remember Joe going, "Oh no, we've been here for hours." But no, he cares about what he does and wants it to look good.
The other week, when I popped into Warhammer World, just as a random purchase because they had them, I picked up the Arbites kit.
Oh, yeah, I know. I was trying to get all
Do you know what? Games Workshop are a blooming clever bunch, because as I've been putting it together, I put some together on the show last week and I will do probably again this week. As I was putting them together, I thought, I need about 4 boxes of this because I want to make every single option that there is in there is really good. Yeah. And then my brain was also going, but what are you going to do with them?
Yeah. I've done that with the Sisters of Battle Novitiates because I've got like 3 boxes of those. One's built as Sisters of Sigma, and I'm like, I'll do something to add to my Sisters of Battle. I'm like, or do I just do another faction of Sisters of Sigma? Or do I do something entirely different? So yeah, I've been bitten by that.
I was like, every one of them's got like pretty much 3 options. And it's like, I want to do that one, and then I want to do them all again, but with a shield. So
Gimp Guy has more than just Gimp Guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm sad about that. Does he have different sort of like attachments?
Yeah. That's
like my light up crotch.
Disco time.
Yeah. A throwback to
for directed traffic.
Yeah. Oh dear.
But it's a really, really nice kit. But like I say, the problem is with it, I think if you are getting it for Kill Team, or you are getting it and you're maybe planning on having them substituting for Enforcers in Necromunda, give it some thought, because there is so many options as to what, I've got to be honest at the moment, I'm just building on Ruler Cool, because I thought there is no way I'm not going to build the dog handler not as the dog handler, because there's no way I'm not going to have the dog. So the pointing hand that's holding the leash, I thought I've got to do that one. But there's like 3 options for that.
Oh right,
it's a really good kit.
So I've been looking at them for different reasons entirely. It's an Age of Sigma reason, because I converted Inquisitor. I forget her name now. She's the one with a little dragon, bold-headed lady with the dragon on a crier something, Draxus. I did her as a matriarch for my Sisters of Sigma, and I just filled like some of the weird sort of high-tech pipes and bits, of fired them off and then just filled it. And I was looking at them and thinking, that makes cool steel armor. They've got sallet helms. I reckon I can do some of that. So with the Sisters of Sigma stuff, I've got like light armored swordsmen. I've got like shooty guys. Could I make some heavily armored looking Sisters of Sigma stuff?
Well, I think you could,
because you get the big shield, but you can easily turn that, file it down, turn it into a tower shield.
Yeah, and also as well is that the on the body, it's like there's like I think they've got like some sort of like electronic plug, but then other than that, it's just like where they've got the big, not at all Judge Dredd Eagle design.
Yeah.
It just ends in a traditional looking strap and buckle.
Okay. Oh,
So
yeah.
and
yeah.
the design on the shoulder pad, I think is just that its wings with just a fist inside
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So it still looks relatively medieval fantasy in
just call
itself.
them the winged fists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They don't
The
they,
flying fist.
The flying
and even
fists.
the visor is
Yeah.
quite knightish.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause-
so
because
they're lovely. It's a lovely kit, and I love the decal sheet is quite dull because it's just the logo and then serial numbers. Other than
okay.
the fact it's got that dead body outline.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Two of them.
yeah.
One of them where it's a whole body is a dead body outline, and then the other one is a dead body outline, and then a separate circle for where the head was. Which
Oh,
that's
right,
just genius.
amazing.
Where would you put them? Though?
Exactly where would you put them? That can
Necromunda
only be for
scenery?
it could only be it could only be Necromunda.
They'll be going on
Yeah.
the Necromunda.
I like
scenery
the
at some
fact
point.
they've done some
Yeah.
though that are big enough for the idea of going, rhinos and things like that. Especially if you were going to go, I'm going to take enforcers out into the ash wastes because you can use whatever vehicles you pretty much want.
Yeah.
So the idea that they've done some ones big enough to go on the side of vehicles, I thought was a nice bit of foreshadowing for things for the future. I thought, but it's a lovely kit, but it's not a kit for the indecisive.
I was. I've been. Well, on the Nova releases, I got told off saying orcs. The
Oryx.
Oryx.
Yeah, yeah. They're cool. Oh,
they're
yeah, I forgot about
really
that.
cool.
Yeah, they're good, aren't they? Chunky
with,
boys.
with like the masks and the maces and stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, they're so cool.
They really have got stove your head in written
Yeah,
all over them. haven't
I'm
they?
like, I'd like to start that army now.
Yeah, so I mean, well, you could start a Warcry warband, Pat. There's no harm in doing that.
Yeah.
You only need like 5 figures
Well,
for those guys.
Yeah.
So not many at all.
I'm not a man for the fantasy side of stuff, but I am going. Stop looking at the City of Sigmar, Jeff. Move
Well,
away from
we
it.
can have a look at the
Move
box,
I know,
when
but
we finish,
no,
yeah.
'cause it won't help.
I mean, even
Have a
if you
look at
did,
the box after I've left.
even if
Yeah.
you just did a warband, it's like
Yeah,
you
it's
could,
one
you
might
could
have to.
tick a box and
But
you
like
could,
I say, once we get the studio and
Yeah.
we've got the table, the idea of having a little band for everything under the sun, because it'll be something potentially we can do on the channel, would be great.
Yes.
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
Excuse to have more stuff I don't need.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not normally a fan. Like I say, I like them for the rules. I like them for the background. I like them for the models. But I've never really liked painting orcs. And when the Iron Jaws came out, early Age of Sigmar releases, I was like, I quite like these, but I just never got around to doing it. And I did buy a
Yeah.
set for Warcry. That was part of my Dead Man's Order before I left, because I'm an idiot. Because not only was it like it's Oryx and
Yeah.
Iron Jaws, and I will get around to painting them because they're cool, but I was collecting all the cards for Warcry.
Yes.
But they did certain Grand Alliance sets, like big bulky boxes. Like there was a Slash one, there was like an Undead one, there was like a Destruction one. And depending on which Grand Alliance you got, your tokens were a different colour. So you'd have like blue for Order, you'd have green for Destruction, and you'd have purple for Undead, and then red for Chaos. I never did get the purple ones for Undead. So I've got all the other colours apart from the purple tokens. So at some point I will get all of them.
You never know, someone
Yeah.
out there might be able to help you out.
Yeah, well, you never know. But
Yeah.
those guys have I think they've tipped the balance now for me. I'm like,
Well, the nice
Yeah.
thing about the heavily armoured orcs, if you're not into painting green, there's not much green to be seen, is
a
there?
bit of a face, that's it.
Yes.
Maybe a hand.
Yeah. Especially the guys that were in the masks.
Yeah, they were really cool.
Yeah. They
the
didn't
big,
have
the,
much.
The big tusks. was
They
really cool.
didn't have much flesh on display.
No.
See, the other really fun thing about that is like the Iron Jaws used some of the Black Orcs from Warhammer Fantasy,
Yeah.
which would change to Ard Boys, which was like you had your Iron Jaws, which were like the big super bulky ones, and you had these like lesser tough ones, which are still really tough in the world of Orc.
Yeah.
Called Ard Boys, and now they've done the new versions of the Ard Boys.
Yeah.
which is just like a nice new way of like when Old World starts. Got some nice new Black Orcs now you can
Yeah.
use.
Yeah.
I remember the first Black Orc I ever seen, because like say not my area was in the Friar Lane shop in the centre of Nottingham, and he had like a axe above his head, and somebody had and you've probably seen it many times in the studio and seen people doing it, but the fact that somebody had green flocked his armpit in. His armpits in,
Yeah.
just green static grass. He's like that. He's just got a big spiky armpit. and just
amazing.
static, which is
I see
Yeah.
people do it bald head and static grass to give them like haircuts. There was an old squad leader, Ralph, from his store was Hemel Hempstead, and he had a Kazakin, one of the classic Kazakin sergeant that was like his power sword, and he had his like hell pistol.
Yeah.
And he just got loads of static grass because his hair was wild. He looked like one of those typical Gaul sort of like warriors. If you ever look at a Roman box and look at like a box of Gauls, they
Yeah.
have like blonde hair. It's all spiky.
Yeah, you go, that man's missing a blue stripe on his face.
Yeah, he had like mad hair like that. And he just did the same thing with this sergeant, and just because it was dyed red at one point as well. So he painted all the grass tufts red. It just looked like it was great.
That's brilliant.
So I always remember that.
Yeah.
I hope you're watching, Ralph.
The Ross Kemp cassock in that one.
It is Ross Kemp, yeah.
Yeah, you know, from the Mitchell brothers from EastEnders.
Oh yeah.
He just looks a bit. Yeah, he's got a bit of that going on.
What was the? Was it? I prefer the Ross Kemp from Ultimate Force.
Good God, what a TV show!
What a TV show! Absolute classic.
Maybe we have to do him right. Do a Ross Kemp character for Necromunda. It could be Ross Kemp on gangs.
Yes, yeah, and he's just there with a documentary film crew.
I think we could get Landon voicing him.
Yeah,
Ross Kemp on gangs.
yeah. I'm here in the hive city of Necromunda. Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
Would he
So I had to get out of there quick.
Would he be the sort of, what was the? Would he be referring to the other? Would he prefer to Space Marines as Super Army soldiers from that episode?
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh man.
Super Army soldiers.
Yeah.
Do you know what though? To be fair to that guy, you know, I remember when he went to Afghanistan.
Yes.
And I remember watching that and thinking to myself, isn't this a terrible state of affairs for the poor guys on the ground into Afghanistan, that the only person media-wise who's got their back is we're having to rely on an ex-soap star to be there. And to be fair, was bang on with it.
Yeah.
To be there to be the spokesperson for these guys, because there's no one else who's talking to them.
Yeah.
We're relying on
Yeah.
a soap star to do it.
And
to be fair to Ross Kemp, you know, he's a very easy man to take the mick out of. But when he was out there, I thought, you know what?
Yeah.
Hats off to him.
Yeah, I watched like when it was a while ago now. Wasn't
it was very warts and all, and you know.
Yeah.
You know, and he was like, oh, you know, well, you fight, you know, and I think the remark, which I thought was the one with that, was when he said, oh, you know, you're fighting for your country. And the soldier went, I'm fighting for him and he's fighting for me because our country's not here. The Queen's not here. It's just us.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what I mean? And I thought, you know, we've got to get a guy who normally has a punch up in the Queen Vic to be out there doing this. You know what I mean? And I thought, so, you know, as much as he is an easy target for taking the mick, and I'm as bad for it as anyone else, when he was out there, I thought,
I think he leans into that though. That's why he's happy to do it.
Because at the end of the day, he's obviously very good at being self-deprecating. Because if he wasn't, he wouldn't agree to work with Ricky Gervais on that. You know.
Yes.
You know. The one I always loved of that. Did you ever see the one where? They had Les Dennis on?
Oh God, yeah.
When they were doing the pantomime.
I don't really know, did you?
Well, you know, they were saying that. You know, the idea was it was meant to be like leaning into the fact that, you know, because he'd had hot wife who'd left him for other actor, you know what I mean, and then leaning in that his career wasn't quite doing so well, and they'd written some like sort of slightly close to the bone jokes, and then Les Dennis like came in and went, I've written some more, and Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant read them and went, we can't use these. These are so awful about you. People will think we've written them and we're picking on you. And he'd written them about himself. They were so self-deprecating.
Oh, wow.
That was quite a depressing episode, though, because it was just like, you kind of felt like there's a lot here that feels like it needs to be ironed out. Do you need to go to a counsellor, man?
Yeah.
The best gag I ever heard from him. He wasn't somebody I was well up on, and then I watched him on a live podcast being interviewed, and he was talking and he was saying that he had a Sparky round doing some work in the house, and it was Grand National Day, and Amanda Holden, obviously when they were together, came in and said, it's Grand National Day, and he went, all right. She went, can I put a bet on? And he went, yeah, if you want to. She went, he says, yeah, we pick a horse, stick a tenner on it. And she went, can I stick 20 quid on it? And he went, oh, if you really want to. She went, yeah, I'm going to stick 20 quid on it, and then left the room. And apparently the Sparky looked up from his job and went, oh, kids, eh? It was his daughter.
Oh, I thought it was his daughter. Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, see.
And I thought, I love the fact that Les Dennis was prepared to tell that story. It was just genius. Yeah. Oh, excellent.
Crikey. How did we get onto Les Dennis?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, because we were talking about Ross Kemp working with Ricky Gervais.
The Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen ones are quite good.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ian
Stewart one.
McKellen, well, the Patrick Stewart where he just
All the
keeps-
clothes just fell
all
off.
the clothes keep falling off. But
Yeah.
I recently caught a TikTok or a reel of the Ian McKellen one.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how do you act? It's like, well, it's quite simple. Really. It's like, I'm normally Ian, and then camera, action, I'm Gandalf.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like,
I think about that person and then I pretend to be them.
I can just see like Ricky Gervais is like, and then it's like, then it's cut, then it's Ian. Oh no, sit in.
Yeah. Sir Ian.
I tell you who's brilliant on that series as well. The one with Daniel Radcliffe on it, where he's playing like horny teenager.
I haven't seen so many of these.
Oh, yeah,
I
there's-
I don't remember the Daniel
watched.
Radcliffe.
Oh, that's really funny because they've really leaned into him being. They've made it out that he's younger than he really is, and it's just like he's like,
right, okay.
It's like to like Ricky Gervais at one point. He's playing a scout in something. And he's like, look at this. He's like in his pocket. He's going, I've got a condom. And he's like, he's really leaning into it. So the brilliant level of cringe. The one that was funny though was. Did you ever see the Kate Winslet one where she was playing the nun who was protecting?
Maybe
She was hiding Jewish people on the run in this movie was set in the Second World War, and Ricky Gervais was playing one of the German soldiers. But she was said they had to. It was really funny because they were saying that the whole gag was Kate Winslet was only playing the role. Was she said, if you want to definitely be in with a shout of getting an Oscar, be in a movie about the Holocaust. Which was this really grim approach, right? And that's what they were leaning into. He's going, if you're going to want to be in with having an Oscar, be in a movie about the Holocaust. And then the problem they said they had was that between that episode being filmed and going out, she was up for an Oscar. And they said, we loved her to death, but we were sitting there going, don't win it. Otherwise it's going to ruin the gag.
Amazing.
Oh, it's brilliant.
I don't remember the episode like detail, but I do remember the Samuel L. Jackson on the bill.
Oh, that was brilliant.
So it was like an episode of the bill had Samuel L. Jackson
What?
in it. Yeah.
Yeah, because that whole
it was obviously not a real episode of the bill. It was like a pretend
Oh,
episode.
right. Sorry, I got really excited.
But the problem with that was that whole episode was because they all have like an underlying theme, don't they, each episode? And that episode was about race.
Yeah.
Because Ricky Gervais's friend, whatever, I can't remember her name, and it was dating a black guy.
Yeah.
And was like really paranoid about dating a black guy. And then obviously they've got Samuel L. Jackson on it. And there's a whole bit, which was my wife got so cringed by it. She left the room is that she's lying on the couch snogging with this black guy and she's looking over her shoulder and she's got like a collection of shelves and on them she's got a Robinson's Gollywog.
Okay.
And then she can't then stay in the moment and then has to make an excuse to get up to go and go, I'm just going to go to the toilet, and then tries to grab it.
Yeah.
And then he goes, what have you got behind your back? And my wife went, I'm going to make a cup of tea, shout me when it's finished. It was just so... Because that's what Ricky Gervais does. He writes awkwardness to
really awkward
I was
stuff.
just watching it, just going, oh, stop,
I don't remember
stop.
No.
Oh, it's a good episode, that one.
I just remember that I obviously must have seen it advertised, just like, I need to watch that one. Samuel L. Jackson in the bill will be awesome.
Yeah.
Badass mother.
Mother Hubbard. Yeah. I used to when I used to work at a climbing wall in Leeds, I'd get the bus there and I used to go past a shop that was called Mother Hubbard's Cupboards.
I also just missed a trick. I should have said badass mother brother.
Yeah.
I remember when they were filming that movie that was set in Liverpool, 50 First State.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And my mate, was in touch and went, you're not going to believe this. So he was like, go, what? He went, I'm in a nightclub and Samuel L. Jackson's DJing. Like, what? He went, I went, yeah, all right. Then he went, and I was like, don't do that thing of saying somebody just because they look like somebody else. Do you know what I mean? Especially when it comes to race. And he went, no, Samuel L. Jackson's DJ. And I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I'm really sure. And then I was like, and then I looked into it. It was saying, he was staying in Liverpool because they were filming all
bit
the...
I remember from that film, and I wish I don't, is the bit where he gives the dodgy tablets to all those, like, is it Glaswegian guys?
They were all the skinheads.
The skinheads, yeah. And they're just, like, pooping everywhere.
That's right, yeah.
Because it just gives them the runs, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Like, instant runs.
It's a great film.
Yeah.
It's a great film. The only problem with it is it doesn't work if you live there. because there's a whole car chase which is like, go down this road, turn a corner, we're 2.5 miles away from where that corner goes. You know, because obviously they're doing is just bolting very long roads together to create the tension. But you're watching it and I was just like, oh, that's not there, that's over there. But that's not, you know. But,
you're supposed to go past the offie there.
Yeah. But it's a good.
I've only ever experienced that once, and it was in The Witcher. Because they filmed in a place called Gordale, which is in it's like a climbing place in the peaks, maybe.
Oh, I've got one for that as well.
And that kind of thing. And she's in. It's the young girl. I can't remember her name.
No, Cersei or something like that.
Yeah, and she's like running through this forest, and then it cuts, and she runs around a corner. And it's like, oh, now you're in this arid landscape. Like, that's not where that tunnel led.
I like how you've mixed Game of Thrones and like Witcher together there. Like Cersei or something? Is that who it is?
Yeah.
It's Siri. It's
Oh,
Siri.
Siri.
sorry.
Yeah.
Come on,
yeah.
Jack.
See, I don't know. I
I always thought that too when you pressed your button on your iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The latest Robin Hood with Russell Crowe, there's a good scene where they're we'll meet at the White Horse. And they gallop and they go through the Peak District. There's a bit where you got the stepping stones in Dovedale. Galloping around there. And next minute it's like, oh, we're in York. And we're suddenly on the coast with like the White Cliffs of Dover or whatever.
Well, didn't they do that in the old Kevin Costner one?
I wonder if they did that to troll people.
In that old Kevin Costner one, don't they get catapulted over a wall, don't they? And then as they start, they're on a castle wall like in the UK, and then when they land, they're in like somewhere like Romania apparently.
But there's also the bit there is that he comes back from being a prisoner in the Crusades.
Yeah.
He gets to the White Cliffs of Dover, he gets on the floor, you're like, you know,
Yeah.
gets the sand.
Yeah.
Tries to get Nazim, his buddy, knocked out so he can get shit back because he doesn't want him to like be burdened with him. And next minute they go for a walk. So the White Cliffs of Dover, and then the next scene it's north or on the wall of Hadrian's Wall. Like it's like you've gone quite far because like Nottingham's a bit further down than that. How did you manage to get up there?
I love it. I love that.
Wait, I'll tell you what. So the one with the, like had my wife incensed was the Taron Egerton one of Robin Hood.
You see, that was interesting but weird.
Because as soon as my wife came in and she went, "What are you watching?" I went, "Oh, we're watching the Guy Ritchie version of Robin Hood." And
so Pat's Army destroyed.
And my wife.
Fine.
And my wife immediately looked at it, and obviously, you know, having a history degree, she has some knowledge of these things. She looked at it, and the first thing she went to was, "Yeah, they didn't have paving stones like that then." And just walked. I was like, "Babe, I'm not being funny, but I've watched a lot of this. That's the least of this film's worries."
The bit that I found really interesting
The
with
fact
that
there's a shootout which looks like a machine gun shootout with bow and arrows, and you think the speed of it is like guns. But
at the very start, right? It's like
Afghanistan, isn't
exactly, because they've got their tunics rolled up, so it looks like British camo.
Yeah,
they've got like armor, but it looks like the Kevlar sort of like chest rigs. And they're all holding their bows like they've got
assault rifles,
machine guns. But then there's the
CQB bows.
Yeah, but
they're shorter.
But it's like when they suddenly get ambushed by like the 50 cal bolt thrower. So there's a 50 cal bolt thrower just like, and there's like the bolt's like hitting off like as if like bullets are ricocheting off the wall and stuff like that. I mean, I think it was stylized in that kind of vein because like the sheriff of Nottingham, it looks like they're living in Mordor, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like, the way that the castle looks like Vader's castle in a weird way.
Wow.
And it's like, where are these mines in Nottingham that you're digging from?
I know, It was like when my wife said, "That's the wrong type of paving stone." I thought, yeah, really? You need to see the rest of this. If you thought that make you angry.
You got Krennic in his long, like, leather black jacket.
Now that you're telling me all this, I'd forgotten that I'd watched that movie. Like, I'd fully repressed it.
That's probably not a bad thing.
Yeah. Awful.
Is it bad that I quite like it for its weird style, even though it's not? If it was like,
I know what you mean.
If it was like not Robin Hood and like generic fantasy, I'd be like, cool, I'll watch this. Like if it was like Dungeons and Dragons, but because they labelled it as Robin Hood, that kind of ruined it. But the style in which it was done, I found really interesting.
Well, they did that with what's name, didn't they? That other one as well. The Guy Ritchie. I don't know whether the Robin Hood one was King Arthur.
My wife, we watched that. We'd not seen it before. Me and Liz there's a bit where they're talking about assassinating the king, and he goes up to a guy who's like, "Can we use your rooftop for a king assassination?" He's just like, "Nah, mate, Not my deal. I was like, oh, okay. So they're like doing this whole pitch where they're like trying to like organise how to kill like this king. Vortigern, is it? They're trying to kill. And there's just this scene where they just try and borrow a guy's rooftop. It's like, nah, it's not my gag, mate. Yeah. It's just like, oh, I
thought, what?
ruined that plan.
Lock, stock, and two smoking.
It's very much
lock,
that,
stock, and two smoking crossbows.
Yes, yeah.
A rooftop assassination. Can we use your premises for a rooftop assassination, please?
Yeah.
No.
It was the David Beckham cameo that really pulled me out of that movie. Yeah, when he's about to be hung, or is it Charlie Hunnam?
No, they're all taking turns to pull the sword out.
Oh, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and then David Beckham's there, and he's just like, hello, I'm David Beckham. I'm an actor now.
I mean,
that's one of my favourite things about David Beckham is the fact that voice doesn't match anything else.
He looked badass, though. He did look badass.
He did look badass, yeah.
I just like the idea of like, you know, nature just playing that little trick, going, yes, he's talented and he's gorgeous and he's this and he's that, but listen to the voice.
Yeah.
He's got the voice of a chipmunk.
Yeah.
But every time someone phones him up, they say, can we speak to your dad?
Bless.
Every single time. I mean, Guy Ritchie's a really interesting director because he started off with like Lock, Stock and all that kind of stuff, and Snatch, and that's kind of what he's known for. And then he went into all the mainstream stuff, like he did the Aladdin reboot.
And he bounces.
Yeah.
And he can manage to seem to direct like a British director, and then like an American director, because like that one with the Statham one, Wrath of Man, which I really quite like. I don't know if you've seen it. It's about a guy who's a villain he's British, but he lives in America, and he's got his own like gang, and they rob, and then him and his son are just on the way to somewhere.
Trucks?
They're on the way to somewhere, and an armoured truck is
I think
and his son is killed.
Yes,
so he gets a job on an armoured truck to try and discover who's done
I've
this.
seen that.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
It's not bad. The main baddie in it is Scott Eastwood. It's not a bad little film, but it doesn't feel Guy Ritchie at all.
No.
And then that other one with Jake Gyllenhaal where he's in Afghanistan.
Yes, I watched that recently.
The
on
Interpreter.
Amazon, yeah.
Oh no, there was another one. That
It is called The Covenant. You're
Covenant,
right.
yeah.
Which was great, but didn't feel Guy Ritchie in the slightest.
Yeah.
And then you think, but only 10 minutes ago, you made The Gentleman, which couldn't be more Guy Ritchie.
I love The Gentleman.
It's like it's my comfy slippers movie now.
Yes.
I could watch it about once a month without a problem.
Just Hugh Grant in that for me. Is like that's the first time I've ever gone, oh, you creepy bastard.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
He's
Brilliant.
Yeah,
He's
so
brilliant. I
good.
love the fact that a man who's weaponized his own character in that, isn't he? Literally going,
yeah.
I know I'm weird and unlikable, and I'm really leaning into that one because it'll catch people off guard.
Is he weird and unlikable?
Yeah, I think he's weird and unlikable.
He's like quite creepy.
Yeah.
Like in real life.
No. I mean the character. I mean the
I
character.
you meant like it was.
No. I mean
I'm weird and unlikable.
No, the character in the movie is sort of aware that he's weird and unlikable and leans into it, doesn't it? Yeah. It's got some really. Got some really good sort of. It's the one-liners out of him in it are just fantastic. It's just, and it's probably I find Charlie Hunnam not the world's greatest actor. But I think he's pretty good in The Gentleman.
Yeah,
he's quite good in that.
I mean, I don't like. I don't know what. No, because I was like, I'm gonna have to censor this and give myself more work. But who cares? Like when he goes into a crack den, and then all these people are trying to stand up, and he's like, oh, sit down, this, that, and the other, and then he has like a bodyguard with him, and he's like, what can you lift, bunny? And he's like, oh, like 200 kilos, and he goes to one of these like crack addicts, and he's like, what do you lift? And then he tries to answer, and he goes, you couldn't even lift a wheel of cheese.
Oh, I've never heard a word. I've never watched a movie that drops the C-bomb.
Yeah.
Quite as often as The Gentleman.
Brilliant.
It's brilliant. I think everybody in it puts in an absolutely blind.
I think it's a Guy Ritchie thing because like Bricktop uses it a lot.
That whole bit when he's chasing the boys down for all the mobiles because they've just witnessed the body going out the
and he
window.
pulls out his like
pulls out the MP5 with the silencer on it.
Because I've watched that so many times now. That my issue with it is you see him running around
and you never see it bouncing off his leg.
Never see it and then it cuts and the silencer is poking out the bottom of his
Mac.
Yeah,
it is great because I love the whole thing of really not wanting to get it out.
Yeah,
and then eventually,
maybe he had a special pocket that put
it in,
and
it's bounced out.
Then he's pulled it out.
Yeah,
not hosted it properly.
Because he's like, look, have some money. You know, here's a threat.
Yes.
Here's a threat back. Oh, okay, gun.
You had your chance. You could have been rich.
Yeah, just like
That's great, but also then the other one running away who gets nailed on the BMX, who gets nailed with the car door as well.
Yeah,
Always never
yeah.
fails to make me snigger.
Yeah,
It's a great film because it's got so many cool. You know what I love about it is with that Guy Ritchie thing is no one really ever speaks like that. It's sort of like Cockney whilst being complexly Shakespearean all at the same time in a way that no one ever.
Isn't that the scene where he says sort that guy out and he throws him out the window? He's like, what? I never said kill him. I said sort him out. I was like, I thought that's what you meant. And he ends up, because it's like some kind of like oligarch's son or something like that.
That's right. Yeah.
Which causes a problem.
Yeah, it's a really good. It's a really good little movie, and as well, he doesn't do enough of it. But Colin Farrell's ability to do comedy is.
So I was,
of course, he's in the chippy at the time.
Yeah, because he's like the boxing, like the coach, isn't he? And he's brilliant in it.
When he says to one of the young lads in the chippy, he says, "Have you got your mouthwash and cat piss mixed up again?"
Dialogue in those films are key, aren't they?
Oh yeah. I think because it's almost like part of the fighting is just the punchy dialogue of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And to have an American in it as pretty one of the main roles being, Matthew McConaughey, and you think, and it really, really
He's
works.
Got the best voice though.
Oh, Matthew McConaughey is just great, isn't he?
If we turn from 40k and Nova to film reviews,
why not? That's what.
Yeah, there we go.
One last thing about films and TV shows. Ahsoka, enjoying it? I'm enjoying it. I know there's a few people out there not enjoying it. They're not fans of Ahsoka. If you like Ahsoka and like Sabine, then you'll like Ahsoka.
It's currently, as the season of Rebels go, I'm really enjoying it.
Well, I mean, it is like because it literally starts from where Rebels ended. To be fair, so
do you know my favourite little thing in it? And it's the tiniest of little details, but if you're interested enough, go back and have a look at when Sabine's decides and she can't be bothered being there for the ceremony. At the big, which is episode 1, isn't it? I think, or episode 2, and she's riding down the highway, and them 2 E-wings come in to stop her, and one goes across the road, and she darts underneath
turns off her grabs,
and and she slides underneath it, and the R2 unit in the back goes like it's really surprised. If you look at the design of the head of the R2 unit, it's the 1970s way they used to do R2D2 as a toy figure before the moulding got better. Because it's got this
I wouldn't have got that.
Well, it's only because I've had that figure because I'm that old. But as soon as it turns its head, I went, "Oh God, that's old 1970s R2D2 head." Which I just thought, I love its little things like that. For the there's always something that everybody's going, "Oh, that's that's that."
You know.
But I generally like it. I generally like it. I think it's not bad. I'm really hoping that the mercenary inquisitor, the one in the helmet, is just nobody, because I'm loving how much the internet is in an absolute froth.
Or the internet, so I mean, there's been proven wrong so many times.
About it's so and so one's there, and it's so and so one's
people
there.
Saying it's
Star Killer, and
Star Killer.
And I'm just like
the guy who voices Darth Maul in the TV shows.
Yeah.
What's this called?
Sam Whitworth.
Sam Whitworth, thank you. And a lot of people are saying it's him. It might be. I'm not saying it.
I just think it'd just be really funny if it's nobody.
It'd just be like just a random.
And he goes through the whole series with a helmet on, gets killed with a helmet on, never is anything.
Just fine.
Just a redundant inquisitor. Just redundant inquisitor.
They kill them and then just wander off, and then the post-credit scene, someone's just cleaning up, and they just pull the helmet off, and you see the face, and you're like, meh.
It's nobody. Nobody important. But I'm enjoying it. I like it.
How are you finding it, Mr. Peach?
I mean, I'm easily pleased when it comes to anything Star Wars related or Lord of the Rings. So
I'm a bit the same.
I'm not as au fait and highbrow with a lot of the comments that people have when they watch these shows, going, it's not this kind of accuracy, it's not this kind of the characters didn't do this. I wasn't a massive fan of the sequels, and that wasn't because the sequels I'm sure there's some arguments to be made like how they're filmed and the storyline, but it wasn't what I wanted, because I'd read the Heir of the Empire stuff about Thrawn and like Luke having a Jedi temple and training Jedi, and Leia becoming a Jedi, and this and the other. So when this happened, I was like, that's not what I was expecting.
I think the problem being wasn't it? I think a lot of people, when they said, we're going to go post Jedi with the sequels, a lot of people, and me being one of them, because I've read them as well. I've read them as graphic novels as well. I think I was a bit the same, where I was like, but then I also got to remember as well, Star Wars has never told a story that's already been told, does it? You know, no story. Because I thought if you'd read Heir to the Empire and then you went to watch them after you'd read them, you'd be like, oh, well, I know what's going to happen. You know, Star Wars always has to have you in a way where you don't know what's coming next, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And but I like the fact they're trying to pull bits of it back in now.
What they're looking at the like High Republic stuff at some point. Acolyte's going to do that.
Yeah.
And Yoda's obviously still in the Jedi Temple because he's 900 years old and it's like quite early days. But one of the things I've always thought they missed a trick, and they could just do so much, because it's nice, like, as fans of Star Wars as kids, and I like the Star Wars figures, I like painting Star Wars Legion, I like playing Shatterpoint and like the Clone Wars and stuff, all really cool. But it gets a bit tiring. It's just like, oh, it's the Skywalker stuff again. Yeah, it's always Skywalkers, always about the Skywalkers. We're back to the Skywalkers again. Mando was great, but obviously we introduced some of the Skywalker bit. Andor was great, no Skywalkers at all. Maybe Ahsoka less. I mean, there's some homages and some conversation about Vader and this, that, and the other, but it's like you've got so much history from like the Old Republic, and so much you can do. It'd be so good to see something from that, because like playing like the Old Republic with Darth Revan and Matt Malagus. If you ever played the computer game, the story thread of that is so really incredibly real.
Yeah, really good.
And then obviously, I don't want to like go spoilers, but there are so many like things where you're just like, oh wow, this is like the best computer game I've ever played.
Well, the hope with the guy whose name escapes me, the guy who directed Logan.
Oh, James Mangold.
Thank you. He's doing Star Wars at the very beginning, isn't he? He's doing a movie based in that time period, and I think
so he's doing the High Republic stuff.
But like almost the point of, you know, like them old 1950s horrendously large budget biblical, like, you know, Ben Hur and all of that sort of stuff. He's sort of said it's going to be that sort of style of like right the beginning of all of what the Force is about, and that. And I think that's quite a cool place to quite a cool place to start. Because the other thing is you're right, is that even the next television show after whichever way, I think the Acolyte's coming next, isn't it? You've got that other one with Jude Law in, which is going to be called Skeleton Crew.
Oh yeah,
and even that's still in the Mando.
Mandoverse.
I think it's because
the New Republic. They call it the New Republic, don't they? The New.
Well, you got Old Republic, you got High Republic, you got Galactic Republic, and then you got New Republic.
Yeah,
and the answer to that question is republics are bad.
Apparently, they fail a lot.
They don't work. The only thing I thought of a little, and I know, but the only bit with Ahsoka that I was a bit like, maybe should have just aged the lady up playing Mon Mothma a bit more.
Oh yeah,
because I was thinking, we've seen her in Return of the Jedi, and this is 6 or 7 years after that, and you're thinking you've done really well. You seem to have actually got less wrinkled.
Coruscant.
Coruscant living for you.
Yeah.
Space plastic surgery.
Yeah, that's what it must be.
Yeah.
Back to tanks for you.
Back to tanks, That's it.
Now the war's over, I can get that back to tank time in. I've been meaning to have.
Yes.
I mean, look at Boba Fett. You know, you can get rid of all those burns.
I know.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah. So
I want back to tank.
Ahsoka for me, I'm just sort of like, I think with a lot of Star Wars at the minute, I think I'm just sort of like, it's okay. I don't have like a strong dislike for it, but I also don't love it probably as much as I want to.
I think my brain always just goes to,
that's where I'm at.
I'm just pleased I've got Star Wars on me telly.
Yeah,
because I always go back to like saying, if I went back in time and told 7-year-old me, going, I know you just love that on the cinema, when you're a grown-up man, it'll be on the telly.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, I mean, there was such a void for a long time, and then you're like 99, you get like Phantom Menace, then you get like every so many years the next one, and every so many years the next one, and we're in that kind of like point where it's like it's so much, it's kind of a good place to be. So
I wonder if if anyone hasn't watched Rebels and they're watching Ahsoka and they're just like, what on earth is going on?
We the three of us, not my wife, have all watched Rebels, so we have to every now and again just give it a quick pause and just say to my wife, oh, this is that.
Yeah, okay.
Because my wife's going, why has that woman got Mandalorian armor from? And we have to go, no, she is a Mandalorian. She just doesn't get involved with it all.
I watched Mando, the first playthrough of Mando. I'd not seen the Clone Wars TV series at all, and I watched Mando, and then when the like Bo-Katan turned up and Ahsoka turned up, I recognised Ahsoka from like some poster art and like some art and some figures and stuff like that, so I was like, oh, she's a Jedi that hangs around with like people. But I wasn't like super like knowledgeable of it. And then I was like, I've been told that I should probably watch Clone Wars, so I watched it to death. Really enjoyed it. Then watched it again and got an extra appreciation, but it didn't ruin the story.
No.
Not knowing those characters, you're just like, oh, you're cool. Okay. Oh, you're cool. So I think it's the same. If you don't know, it doesn't take anything away.
We were Clone Wars obsessed in our house, and I remember my eldest boy Beanie was quite young at the time. I remember when the episode when Ahsoka went, "I'm done with you all because you didn't trust me." Being in floods of tears.
Yeah, well,
literally being in floods of tears because we'd watched it from the beginning pretty much.
My lad is a firm fan of Ahsoka. We've got a couple of these Xbox Infinity figures we got from a charity shop. And it's just very sort of like cartoony style.
Yeah, some of them are brilliant. We've got the Boba Fett one, and it's a really lovely miniature.
I managed to get some more for his birthday. Hopefully, he won't hear this bit when the
nice.
But he takes them to bed. He's obsessed by Ahsoka. I've got all from the Shatterpoint set. So I'm going to say this to everyone at home that collects Shatterpoint. When you collect Shatterpoint, right, and regardless of what sets you get, you will get a activation card, because in the game you have a deck of cards which you shuffle up to see who you're activating. You get the English version, then you get like 4 languages of every card, including the art card for the activations, which doesn't need translating. It's just art with like the artist name on the side. But you get one that you need for yourself for the game, and then 4 others that are foreign language. So you've got a deck of 4 cards there.
Yeah.
When you start collecting all the characters, you get like quite a lot of cards. So I've got a deck of cards about this high of 4 of each.
Of all the artworks.
So you could do like Rummy or Collect 4 or Snap and stuff like that. So I've been shuffling them all up, and I've got a deck of cards, and me and Charlie just play Snap with it.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So
cool.
it's a really fun little card game that you can play using or you can do like shuffle out and get like 2 of each, and then put them all and do the old reveal card to try and match pictures and stuff like that. So Shatterpoint not only is a great sort of like miniature game, it's got great card games in it as well.
Nice.
Kids.
Excellent.
They missed a trick there when they were doing the marketing for it.
I know. I mean,
great game, and it's also Snap.
You can do this. It's so weird because Workshop alone will do like cards that are like Warcry do it, and Warcry has the fighter cards are universal. Yeah. So they're fine, but then you get your abilities cards where there's words on it because your abilities have text and you have to understand what they say. So they have like nearly every language possible. Well, I say that there's quite a lot. So there is like 1 that you need and then 12 that you have to bin.
Yeah.
But the fighter cards are in a separate pack, and I was shocked that like Atomic Master just like, let's just bung them as their own separate thing. It's fine.
Yeah, that's good.
I was like,
is it a multi-language rule book, or is it just single language?
No, so that the box set only comes with, it's an English box set, which only comes with English cards and only 1.
It's the
only
other,
one Darth Maul. So as annoying as it is, Charlie likes Darth Maul and Ahsoka, and I've only got 1 of each of those cards. I managed to get an extra one because when I was doing the game with Rob, the tournament, you got given like the primaries. You got like these cool reflective versions. Foils. Yeah, I can't remember that. So you got the full version of them. So I've kept those for the game, and I've put the other ones. So I've now got lots of 4s, and then there's 4 sets of cards that are 2s. So if you get those, there you can do something with them. Maybe it's a bit of a twist. If you can get all 4 of them, it's like a full house kind of thing.
Yeah, cool.
But playing around, just like playing card games with a kid is great. Danger Snap, we sometimes call it.
Danger Snap. I love it.
Because you don't want to put your hand there. Because like, Jesus Christ, my hand, I need it.
I want to play Danger Snap.
Danger Snap. My wife's very good at Danger Snap, to the point that I think she's nearly cracked the table because she's like, bam! Snap!
When you say Danger Snap, I think of like, oh, you're playing it on top of a canyon.
Yeah, that's
in an avalanche.
Yeah. You're tight-roping whilst doing it.
Yeah.
We're talking about your wife having that sort of, you should see me and my wife playing air hockey.
Does it get aggressive?
Do you need nets around you?
Oh, it's ridiculous. Oh yeah, it's like, you can guarantee that they'll guarantee that 3 times a game in an arcade it'll be bouncing off the screen of something. It's really bad. It's really bad. And we always do that thing. If we won the lottery, we'd have one of these in our house. And I think if we won the lottery, had one of these in our house, we'd be divorced in about a fortnight.
you need like a spun, like a
holes in the wall and stuff. Yeah.
Go on then. Let's get in the air hockey pit.
There's a bar. There's a bar in town, and they have air hockey and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they have air ice hockey. And Keris, we've played it a multitude of times, and she kicks my ass every single time. Yeah.
Air ice hockey.
Air ice hockey. It's in almost like a bubble.
Oh, I've seen that.
It's like table football.
Oh yeah, foosball.
So yeah,
it's like foosball.
Foosball. Yeah. But it's like ice hockey and and everything.
But it's got the glide thing of
it's really, really good fun. And you have like your people on sticks that you have to move forwards, but you can spin them and all that sort of stuff. But
oh, cool.
Oh, it's so difficult. And Keris gets properly into it. She annihilates me.
Go on, name check the bar.
Every single time. I can't remember.
Oh.
It's near like the tram, you know, where it goes around that really tight corner before it gets into town.
Yes.
And there's that Sainsbury's on the corner. It's like around there.
Ah, right. Okay, so it's Hockley direction.
Yes, in Hockley somewhere. Can't remember the
I'll
name
have to
of
look
it.
out for it.
Yeah.
So me and my wife can carry on our everlasting grudge match.
Yeah. I'll see if I can find it on Google Maps before we finish.
Cool.
Nice.
So
Well,
there
Because
we
we
go.
must have gone.
I mean,
I
I think we've been talking about movies and TV for like half an hour.
Wow, well, that's fine. I
It's not
mean,
a bad
we
thing.
don't just do hobby. We have other interests too.
We are human beings.
Yeah.
Well, just about.
How is the ducks coming on? By the way, meant to ask as a
Oh, the bar is called Penny Lane.
Penny Lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not where it should be, but never mind. Let's not go there.
Space Ducks, I'll meet the deadline. It's creeping up pretty fast.
I need to get on
but,
with my character that you sent me. So I need to get on with that.
yeah, I've done the Terminators, done the Apothecary, done the Lieutenant. I'm on the Flamer Dudes at the moment, but all the time I have to paint
Fairness.
is when we're streaming on Twitch currently. So
Yeah.
I need to kind of put some proper time aside, and because I want to make a video about it as well.
Yeah,
And I've been
yeah.
recording bits as I go.
Well, hopefully when this one comes out, we'll have a fun video in the same week, which involves Ewoks. So that'll be fun. Yeah.
Hey.
That's the plan.
Everyone's favourite
Cuddly teddy bears.
Oh yeah,
man-eaters that they are.
yeah.
Yeah, we've got a few little surprises in that diorama. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's a nice, pleasant diorama.
It's a scenic scene of teddy bears having a picnic. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not talking about what they're eating.
Wonderful, right? We
great,
we should probably call it there. I
Yeah.
think.
we waffled on for a while.
I had a great time at Warlord. I'm glad I pegged a lot of people. It was fun. Until the next time. Hopefully we'll have some guests on soon as well. Still waiting to move, but you know.
Yeah.
That's having a knock-on effect to getting certain
I
guests
think so.
on.
Yeah, because we've had a few pairs.
Yeah.
that we just physically can't fit in this space.
Yeah.
We've
So,
tried and it gets
yeah.
quite warm and toasty and
I mean,
hard to-
I am starting to melt. We're in
Yeah,
our Indian summer in the UK.
Yeah,
aren't we?
I'm wearing leather trousers because I thought this would be a quick one.
Oh,
I'm warm, but it's fine. I'll just peel them off when I get in.
Oh, nice. There's an image.
There's
if
an
everything was an
image.
image to end on.
yeah. Thank you very much for watching, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Go follow us on
Think of me in leather,
Patreon.
pulling my trousers off,
Oh.
like peeling a jacket potato.
Oh.